Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show. Bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio. Here's Nick and Matt.
It is not Nick and Matt. It's episode 101. This episode presented by Cosmic Disc Golf. Go check them out, cosmicdiscgolf.com. I'm sitting here not in studio with Evan Kearns, who's the alternate host tonight. Evan, how's it going?
It is going good. How are you doing?
Good. It's been a weird spell. A lot of time. I've been like out of the past 40 days, maybe like 30 away from my house. So wow. It's really weird for me. Like, this was my first day of work back in the office in like what felt like 6 weeks or something crazy. I mean, I've worked. Feels just, anyways, I'm out of sorts. That's how I'll put it. So, and we've got intern producer Ben in the house, actually in studio, sitting next to me. We could high five. What's up? What's up, Ben? What do you got for a background tonight?
Warp Zone.
Warp Zone.
We'll get some new backgrounds soon.
The people always want to know.
Yeah.
So we've got a great show lined up tonight. Missy Gannon will be in the house. In fact, I'm pretty sure she's got a professional hairdresser just for the show tonight. We'll have to ask her about that. But she won't be on for a while. So if you're someone who likes the quick hitting interview, I'll be nice now and say, come back in about an hour and 20 minutes. And she'll be on. But here's the reason not to do that. Cody Kirkland, you may recognize the name from SFO. He had a hot round. Do you remember that, Evan? He was on lead card or chase or something, right?
Yeah, and you're showing your age there, Matt. It's the OTB Open now. But goodness. Yes, he was crushing it out there. I mean, it's so hard to tell what's lead and chase cards nowadays with live just covering everybody.
Yeah.
But he got a lot of live coverage. Very notable event for him.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I think we're going to have to do a game in the future. What did this event used to be called?
Yes.
I'll be like, which version of the MVP Open? Vibram, Maple Hill?
That's good.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good... I'll have to hold a stat or fiction for that. Okay. Like, when did McBeth win his first event at Maple Hill? What was it called?
Ooh, that's people like
that's
that.
A good one.
We like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So can I ask a question? While I was away, were there any notable wins that maybe was just like a little bit ironic or coincidental? I think his name was Calvin. Calvin Heimberg, everybody. Every time I leave the studio and am not able to do a show, somehow he pulls off a win. I think, did you text me that or was that Ben?
Nick.
It was Nick who texted me.
I don't know.
Somebody did. They're like, Matt,
the fans were angry.
You're away. And he did it again. So congratulations to him. That was a way ago. I just found that ironic. I'm kind of filling the people in a little bit here because I want to give a shout out. I was in South Lake Tahoe. So Lake Tahoe, never been there before. The terrain is just so different than the East Coast. Evan, you've been out there?
Yeah, earlier this year.
Okay. Like actually Lake Tahoe or just California?
Yes.
Lake Tahoe.
No.
I don't think
Lake
I realized
Tahoe,
that.
Yeah, it was. I combined it with when I was out in Vegas in March. We did the show, and I was at Vegas. Flew out the next day up to Tahoe. Skied a couple days out there, up at kind of the west side of Tahoe, northwest maybe, but on the California side.
Okay, so I drove up there. Like I ended up doing. So when I came down Reno, down the East Coast side of the lake, and then when I went back up, I went up the west side, which is California. Yeah. So I mean, but you
you would have drove right through the town I was in. Yeah, it's beautiful.
The terrain is way different.
I went to school in Colorado, so it is kind of similar to Colorado, although like Lake Tahoe being the lake it is ginormous, and Colorado doesn't have anything like that. But as far as the mountains, trees, all that feels similar to that, but it's incredibly different from here or lots of other parts of the country.
So anybody who's out in that neck of the woods, I played Zephyr Cove, which was more, I hate to say it this way, but it was the like Devons of here, in the sense of like, yeah, everyone that knows Devons is like, wow, it's a horrible course. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. But the cliffs and like throwing down hills and up hills, the elevation changed, but put that in like the Lake Tahoe area with all the terrain. It was just beautiful, very up and down hills, very cool, great views of the lake, mountains, everything. Then I played another one called Bijou. And I want to give a shout out to a family out there. They'll know who they are. Shout out to Jason His son, Luke and Nate, are into disc golf, and they have been, but not until fairly recently, but they are like really into it, playing at a high level. Jason's been playing a long time, and then Jason's future son-in-law, Ridge, by the way, cool name, Ridge. He was back in Vibram days. He could throw the Ridge, but very cool family, and got in rounds with them, and it was just like very welcoming. The disc golf community, if anyone travels around and plays disc golf, and I mean the touring professionals are there, but I mean like even just as a normal individual, you show up somewhere, and I almost missed league. I was like, I want to hit up a league, and I was like, I'm going to be late. I have no contacts to find anybody, and I'm like 3 minutes late, and I jump out, and they're all at hole one, and I'm like, did I miss league? And they don't even know who I am. They're like, oh, who are you? You know, I'm like, oh, dude, I want to play. And they got me in, matched me up with someone who's going to play Cali. The whole point is like, it's so cool. Next thing you know, you're playing disc golf, and it feels just like you're at home in the sense of like your disc golf community. It feels welcoming and at home. So very cool. Shout out to all of those. Very cool opportunity there. So I was out there for work, lost a little bit of money on the casino, blackjack. I was up for like 3 hours, Evan. Like playing house money. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, it's getting a little late. I'm just going to start going aggressive. Like maybe I'll like cash in here. And nope, lost it all.
Well, that's what you got to do. I mean, if you're an honorable person, you'd rather almost lose it so you don't have to do all the whole taxes nonsense. That's what I felt like. I was just like, yeah, might as well just go for broke here.
That's what I did. I counted it as entertainment fun after my work trip, which is what that was, as a work trip. And then last week I was camping in a tent with my family. When's the last time you slept in a tent, Evan?
Ooh, I mean, I used to a lot. Last year, I think, was the last time. I was out in Colorado and Utah. Very cool.
Okay. Very cool, as in like cold, or?
No, it was summer. It was very hot. It was like 100 degrees out there. It was kind of the Moab area.
Yeah, you're just laying in bed sweating.
Very, very hot. Actually, that's the hat I'm wearing right now, which is kind of funny. But no, we were kind of in the trees a little bit, so it was like still like 80 degrees at night, so it was hot. But very cool terrain. Speaking of somewhere that's totally different, that area is totally different than New England and kind of the California Mountain West. It's kind of like its own atmosphere there. Not atmosphere, that's not the right word. The ground version of that.
So before we move into full disc golf talk, which this is our small talk around the disc golf community, like what we're doing, but I want to shout out one more time. I mentioned Jason out there in Lake Tahoe, and he reached out and he's like, hey, we'll take you out. We'll play around. I've got a pontoon boat. Let's get you out. We brought Simon out when he was here. And I'm thinking, what are the chances I get out on the lake while I'm here for work? It was spectacular. They ordered pizzas. We got out on a boat ride, and Ben, you will never believe.
Yeah, I saw it.
No, I don't know if you did.
Oh.
He brought a cooler out on the boat.
Oh.
And he opened it up, and guess what was in there?
Fish.
Izzy's.
No.
And I said, did you know that's like what we drink pre-show? He's like, no.
That's what I get paid in. Jerking is in Izzy's.
So we drank the Izzy's down and the pizza, and we were in Emerald Bay, which apparently is like the number 5 photograph spot in the world. And we're just like putting around in Emerald Bay. And he's like, see that little island there with that little like tower on top? That's where Simon was for like the release that Jomez is going to do coming up like this off season. And I'm like, I'm lucky, man. So anyways, thank you, Jason and family. That was spectacular. Just driving around the lake. Yeah. All right. So we talked quite a bit here. We did have an event that happened, a few, but we're going to talk about Ledgestone. Massive payouts, first of all. I don't know if you have stats on that, but I want to, before you get into it, $150,000 donated to charities from this event. I mean, where have we gotten to? That is massive. So anyways, had to get that out of the way. Good job, Nate Heinold and team at Ledgestone. Evan, go ahead and give us a review of what you thought of this event and what stats stood out to you.
Yeah, I'm a little bit short on my recap here, so I'll try to do my best. That's great. Though. But I mean,
be short. I was long-winded.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky Raisaki takes it down on the MPO side. That's his third straight with a nice asterisk there. His third straight win at Ledgestone.
Oh, that is an asterisk.
Last year was the tie between him and Calvin Heimberg. Still counts as a win in the record book, but we all can kind of think of it otherwise. But it was a very close race up until the final round. And then about halfway through, Ricky's just like, nah, this is mine. And was like up 6 strokes, I think, at one point, finished with, what was it, a 5-stroke win? Very dominant performance by him. He's looking great, getting back, leading into Worlds, which we're getting back to Emporia. You got to think he's the favorite at this point. And moving over to the FPO side, we saw Missy Gannon. And as you kind of said, she will be on the show later, but she picked up her 3rd Elite Series win. That includes the Tour Championship win she had last year, and Des Moines, which was her first, which we're coming up to this week. And she also had a big win. It's her largest, let's say, tour win of her career, including Silver Series. And she won by 6 strokes, which is incredible. And she kind of pulled away late as well. And both were super exciting kind of tournaments, with a winner kind of pulling ahead and not making it super exciting at the end. But I think it was still fantastic event, you know? Still had all the excitement, right?
We're going to talk to her about that and see how she rates this for sure. I mean, I started looking at it. I'm thinking I'm going to ask her a question or two. I mean, the chat can give us some here too. Like, where does she rank this in her power rankings of like competition she's had? You know what I mean? You start looking at the field and she's just she beat all the best in the world. There's nobody missing, I don't think. I mean, okay, sorry. I mean, Evelina, right? Hannah. But like, my point is like, the field was there.
I mean, the field, really what people want to hear is, was Paige, Kristen, and Katrina there. And they all were.
And Haley, a major winner this year. Unfortunately, not placing well. But I mean, she was there.
It was only her 2nd time ever beating Kristen Tatar. And
wow.
Do I have it in my notes about the first time that she beat him? Because that beat her, excuse me. It might have been at Des Moines last year.
Around now.
It was at Des Moines last year. So both of her standard Elite Series wins have come against Kristen Tatar. So, there's not really an argument there. Have they been good wins? Because beating Paige, Katrina, and Kristen Tatar is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you happen to have in front of you you probably said this, and I was trying to get Ricky on the show tonight last minute. I don't think it's going to happen, but did you happen to say the payouts for this? I think that the MPO was getting like what, 7 or 10,000, and then second was 7,000, third was like 4.
Let me load it up right now. So Ricky Wysocki took down 10 grand. And Missy Gannon took down 8 grand.
Wow.
Both. I mean, very, very good. It's not Missy Gannon's largest career cash. I'll tell you that off memory, because the Tour Championship will definitely beat that. But even Ricky, that's got to be one of the highest. I could actually sort right here if we kind of hold on for 10 seconds. But like, I would, tied for his 2nd highest. Worlds in 2017, funny enough, in Emporia, which we're talking about soon, was his highest at 12,000. He's had 3 other at 10,000, which includes a Tour Championship win and 2016 Worlds.
Well, you got Dion, your partner there in the chat, holding it down, saying $125,000 total in payout. So massive payout. I can remember back in the day, and I'm going back and I'm calling it the right name, the Vibram Open. I think there was like, we have like a total purse payout of like 50,000. And I'm like, that's massive. Like 50 grand, So, payouts have come a long way. In fact, I think you did a stat or fiction at one point where we talked about like who had like the largest payout of the year or whatever. And I think it was obvious that it was Missy or something at the time, but like, what do you have that in front of you? Like, what's her career earnings now? Like, is she doing well?
Missy Gannon, I could pull that up.
Maybe not career. Maybe it would be the past 5 seasons or something. But like either way, you could give me that if you have it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different options. I mean, so in her career, she's earned $118,000. Wow. And then from just 2022, it would be 29,000, which that includes the 8,000 she just won, which doesn't even top last year's Tour Championship, which she got 30,000. But still, I mean, for disc golfers, 29,000 a year is a lot. Last year, if you take out the Tour Championship for Missy Gannon, she was at 37,000. Yeah. So now with a lot of big paydays still coming up, and we have one more Elite Series, we have Worlds, we have Throw Pink Women's, and then 2 playoff events, and then also the Tour Championship. If Missy takes one of those down and then places well, I'm sure she'll beat last year's minus the tour championship.
Okay. I just thought of something, and maybe you have more to say about the event, so I'll let you do that. But Ricky getting the three-peat, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm being honest and fair, like I feel like we've all talked along the way of, like you said, asterisks. Like I feel like all of us were in like some sort of agreement. Like okay, you can have the win if you want it, but it wasn't a win. And so you're telling me had Calvin won, we would have said back to back. Like it just feels weird that like if Calvin or Ricky wins, we can either say three-peat or back to back. I get the tie. I'm not really sour about it, but my point is like it just still feels weird. But that's like one of the big points everyone's making. And I don't know if that was born with Stat Mando, so no offense there, but like technically it is. I mean, it shows up as a win for him. I get it, but it was a tie.
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting part there is when you pull apart maybe like a our rankings or a standings page. I mean, like the Pro Tour standings last year, you share the points. So you get, for the Disc Golf Pro standings, you get 100 for a win, 85 for a second place. Okay. So when you tie, you merge the two. So is that 92?
Okay.
0.5?
Well, that kind of makes my point a little bit. It's like you don't actually get the full win.
They both get less, but then you got to think about which we're getting a little deep here. But if you think about like a Stat Mando ranking system where the field strength factors in and different events are worth more. Last year, Ledgestone on the MPO side was the best field outside of majors. So when you share that, and now they're only taking 92.5% of the win instead of 100%, which you would if you were a solo winner. 92.5% is probably higher than probably most other Elite Series wins. So it's still a very good win in that sense from a point standpoint. But that just kind of tells you, you can make anything sound good with stats, right? That's kind of our jobs to make things either look good or bad. Sometimes it might not be the most, I don't want to say most accurate because it still is, but most meaningful. But there's meaning to everything. So
I like stats no matter if they're twisting something or not, because I like it.
And even if you call that a 1.5 finish last year, Ricky's recent finishes, let's say in Peoria, in the Elite Series and Majors, was first this year. Let's say 1.5 last year, first the year before in 2020, second in 2019, and second at Worlds in 2019. Both losing to Paul McBeth, but overall, he's the best player at the Ledgestone courses in Peoria the last 3-4 years.
All right. As we get ready to wrap up this Ledgestone, stats kind of review of the event, I just want to say, shout out to Paul. He's playing well. He's playing really well. Out of European Open and now this, like we've seen it before. We're not going to talk about right in this moment, but like Worlds is coming up and Paul won Des Moines and then he went and he almost won Worlds. We all saw what happened there. Like, are we going to have anything? Does Emporia set up well for him? We'll have to take a look at that next week. Gannon Burr, just super impressive. And by the way, I didn't watch the event Mid-America Open, right? That's where everyone was starting to say he was taking so long. And I know everyone's hypersensitive to it now. But I didn't feel that way watching this final round with Gannon. Did anybody else?
Well, hey, Matt, did you see what Gannon Burr was saying? I think it was on his social media.
He said he wanted to improve it.
Yeah, he said he was aiming for 20 seconds or less on every single throw. And I agree. Watching Mid-America, it felt slow. We can talk about how that card was 5 holes ahead of Chase card at Mid-America. But at Ledgestone, it felt normal. I was there, I was anticipating it taking a while, and it was not.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then these are the final shout outs for MPO side is Anthony Barrella. When he's at an event, you can expect that he's going to have at least a hot round, maybe a course record, and possibly be in contention. And this was the case with this event. Great job for him. Corey Ellis. Matty O was great to see performing at a high level again. We could go on and on. So anyways, that was great for them. And then just again, the FPO, the most amazing, impressive thing to me is the fact that Own is just continuing to show up, and Missy, they're both doing really well this season. Own doing, in my opinion, just slightly better, although this win is a big deal here. Lisa Fake is showing up. Kristen Tatar not happy. She posted social media. She's not really happy. She says, I know you guys are saying, hurrah, your first event in the U.S. in a while, and you get a third place, tied for third. She goes, but it felt horrible.
And while being injured still. She's still not feeling great while throwing backhand hyzers, I believe.
But and I know a competitor doesn't want to hear this. You beat Paige, you beat Katrina, you beat a course record out of Alexis, like the meaning of the player who did that, and on and on. You could go down the list there of impressive players. So anyways, it was a spectacular event as far as the course is laid out, totally different. I don't love the fact that we miss half of the round at Northwoods. I do not love that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, especially with FPO finishing their final round. It's really unfortunate that the final round is only cut in half. If it's a middle rounds, it's a little bit more lenient, in my opinion.
I agree.
But I mean, you don't want them playing too many courses, and obviously there's big fields, but I wish you could figure it out where MPO finishes at Eureka and FPO finishes at Sunset, because Sunset set up so well for those women. It was exciting, both those middle two rounds. I want to see it as the final round, however it can work.
Sure. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about this great product that I used last night before I climbed in bed. Now, before everyone starts trying to figure out what product that is that I'm using before I get in bed, we'll just let you not think about that. Hempfield Botanicals. Here it is. This product, Hempfield Botanicals. It's in the box in this one. It's out of the box in this one, so I can actually use it during the show. Nice little pump bottle for your general aches and pains. If you don't feel good, you don't play well. And I'll tell you what, this helps you feel better. You play better. I caddied for my son yesterday. Both of my sons played in a tournament. My 8-year-old beat some grown men at an event. It was pretty awesome. He made the podium, and I'll have to put a picture up. Let me see, actually, real quick. I'll do it while I'm talking about it. And if you're listening live or listening on the show, you'll have to check back in here, because here is a picture. Let me get it up there. There we go. My 8-year-old, look how small he is compared to everybody. He made the podium beating, full grown men, throwing as far as they can. And he's way more consistent. He knows how to throw a Frisbee. So I'm
glad he's,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm glad I'm not facing him, because he is good.
I want to put him up in an event with you.
I'd be proud for him to beat me, but also would be like, did that really just happen?
Yes,
so,
that's what that guy who tied him was feeling. There was a few funny comments he made. There was one where like Tanner laced a wooded fairway, and he goes, "I'm gonna try to throw better than that." And he goes, "And if I do," he's like, "I will celebrate." And he goes, "It's gonna be hard to celebrate against an 8-year-old, but I'm gonna try." It's just like
if there's something he's good at, it's piping wood shots.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed.
Yeah. So my point is, I caddied for him, and I was carrying the bag. I wasn't throwing, but my legs and my arm, I don't know. I was throwing the Zephyr with him after the round a lot, like in an open field. And anyways, my wrist feels like it flared up, tendonitis. I used this last night, and it feels a lot better today. I want to feel better. I want to play better. Hempfield Botanicals will help you do that. The chapstick, as Nick always talks about, being one of his favorite products. I needed this, and I used it the other day, and it was wonderful. I think it's my go-to at this point. I don't use that Bart's Bees anymore. So check it out. 20% off. HempfieldBotanicals.com. It is a great product. They support the show. If you're using a different product, try this one for your next order. 20% off is significant. You'll be supporting our show, supporting a disc golf. I want to say disc golf company. They are not a disc golf company, but they are invested in disc golf. So let's support them. All right. It's Nick's birthday, Evan. That's why you're kind of in the second seat here, but do you think we should throw out his phone number and like prank him and be like, here's his phone number. Everybody say happy birthday.
On one side, it would be cool for him to get that many messages pouring in. But I wouldn't be thrilled with people, middle of his next tournament round, just being like, you're doing great, man. Or what's going on?
I know. He would probably he would laugh, but he probably couldn't believe it.
Might have to get a new number. Dude.
All right. I should have figured that out before the show. But anyways, happy birthday to Nick, everybody. That's what's going on there.
What people can do is drop it in the chat,
There you go. The chat, or message him. Everybody go message him right now on like Instagram or something.
Yeah, he has Instagram and Facebook.
Twitter. Just at him a lot.
Yeah.
Drag him into the McBeth Brodie thing all the time. Do it every time.
Yeah, tag him and Hunter at every possible moment, every single time, because there's nothing going on there, and those guys are cool with each other.
All right. Okay. So we've gotten to the point in the show where I'm really excited, because we're going to be talking to the son of somebody that we had on earlier in the year, which was a really interesting interview. And I think we have another I know we do, because I'm going to learn a lot here as well. Cody Kirkland, everybody, we're going to welcome him to the show now. Cody, how are you doing, man? Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show.
Hey, Matt. How's it going? I'm doing pretty well. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you fine. The sound looks good, Ben?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And look at this. Twinsies.
Wait, why? What are we twins about?
Just the headsets?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, Ben. Oh, that's funny. All right, so now I'm stumped on what I'm going to say. You didn't come on the show like your dad with spinning the disc on your finger, but I'm sure you're able to do that. So
Yeah, should I have been padiddling or something? I'm not sure.
Oh, we're gonna have to get into terminology here. I'm a disc golf guy. I don't know about padiddling, but okay, excuse me. All right, so first of all, we're having you on because of a lot of reasons. We feel like your name came up earlier in the year in disc golf. Congratulations! It was the OTB Open. That performance was. I'm assuming we'll talk about that. It seemed like it was fairly good for you. You're coming out of what my understanding is an ultimate background, primarily or as of late. But this event that we're bringing you on specifically, just to set it up, is the World Flying Disc Federation, which is, I was explaining it to Ben, our intern here. I said, this is the PDGA of like disc sports. Like the PDGA is like the subcategory organizer. World Flying Disc Federation is like all disc sports fall into here. This would be how the Olympics would like file like for a sport and all of that, like for disc golf or anything.
Yep.
So
Totally.
okay, good. I got that right. And so you won the overall champion, if you will, of all the disc sports that were available at this championship. First of all, tell us in the simple version, like what was this event? Because I'm like stuttering over it. What was this event you played in? And then tell us how it played out for you.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, the overall is 7 events, including disc golf. So there's, I'll rattle through them. There's obviously depth to each sport, but I'll rattle through them so you know what we're talking about. There's disc golf, double disc court, which is my favorite of the disc sports, kind of like partners tennis in a way. Distance, again, pretty straightforward. Accuracy, pretty straightforward. Then discathon, which is basically a race through a course. Where the disc has to travel through the course, and your job is to get through it as quick as you can. Freestyle, which is trick catches, delaying, a bunch of tricks, and self-caught flight, which you may have done just for fun sometime, like throw it up and try to catch it with one hand and see how long you can get it to stay up. But yeah, self-caught flight is kind of the more official version of that.
What are you using? What are you using for frisbees, like, or discs, like let's say self-caught flight? Like, what are you using for that?
So we're actually using. Some people throw fastbacks, which are older ridge discs.
They're in the genre of like a Sonic, right? The end of like they're in that genre.
Yeah. They've got like this, like ridge here. It's pretty light. We also throw. You may have seen this before. This is a Lynx. Let me see if you can see that.
Yep.
An end of a Lynx. They also throw condors. These are like 130 grams or so.
Okay.
So they float a lot, right? They're great for self-caught flight, and they go far enough that you can get decent time.
130 grams.
As well.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So lighter. I know some people used to throw like the old pearl rocks from like the 80s and 90s, like really light ones of those. But those are generally the common choices. They're like condors, lynxes, and fastbacks.
I was throwing a Zephyr yesterday. If you've ever seen that, an end of a Zephyr, and
the Zephyr,
I think it was 170, and I was trying to throw it up into the wind, and it was working, but yeah, it was coming down a little fast. But
the Zephyr is commonly used in discathon accuracy. As like the main disc for those.
Wow. So you said you wanted to just hit on those events really quickly, but I really would love to start breaking down some of those. But before we break them down, just give like the I won speech, because I want to know like what the overall deal, like how does that work? They count all of those events together. You played all of them, and then they do a point system. Like explain that.
Yeah. Okay. So basically each event, I can explain how it was done for this one. It varies a little bit, but mostly the same. So let's say you play disc golf. You go through 2 initial rounds, then a final 9, and first place will get 50 points. Second place 49, third place 48, down the road, right? Same for the rest of the events, right? So self-caught flight, the winner takes home 50 points. Second place 49, third place 48, with the assumption that the number of points just has to be more than the number of competitors you have, right? So if you have 70 competitors in the overall, you make sure you have 80 points for first in each event, or something like that. But yeah, that's generally the scoring. So you can't really have too many events where you do bad, or you're going to be out of contention for the overall title pretty quickly. So yeah, the overall title is just the culmination of all those point totals.
Okay. And I looked at the score. And let me see here. I have it on screen. Am I correct to say that you won by 1.5 points? Which, if you break
That's
it
correct.
down, like you said, by like more or less positions and players,
Mhm.
1.5 points over 7 events. That's incredibly tight. I mean,
Yeah.
you were both in it to win it, but you were able to eke it out. Was it exciting finish? Like, did you know, and did you have one more event kind of a thing? And like, how did it play out?
Going into the okay, I guess I'll give you the 2-minute version. So I mean,
Sure.
going into the second to last day. So it's a 6-day event. First of all, so 6-day event. We're competing every day from probably 9 a.m. till
Wow.
6 or 7 p.m. So it's a long day every day, and you got to do a lot of switching, right? Like go out there and do 3 rounds of distance, and then go do discathon right afterwards, right? Totally change your discs, change what you're doing, change shoes, figure out what you're doing. But yeah, going into
Wow.
the second to last day, I was probably not in a great spot to win the overall. I was probably looking to finish second or third. And we're going into, I guess, the discathon semifinals. And at that point, the person I beat, by the way, by 1.5 was Chris Horn. He was in 8th in discathon, and I was in 9th. And in the discathon semis and finals, I jumped from 9th to 1st. I ended up winning discathon, and he went from 8th to 11th. And that kind of opened the door for me to have really a chance to win the overall. And even then, still to win it, the last day, which was the finals of DDC, double disc court, I had won the preliminary pool. My partner and I had won the preliminary pool, so we got to choose our semifinal opponent. And for me to win the overall, I had to win DDC, and Chris Horn, who I was competing against, had to not make the finals. If he made the finals, or I lost in the semis or the finals, he would have won the overall. And so my partner and I picked Chris's team in the semifinals to make sure we had kind of control over my own destiny for the overall. So we picked them for the semis. We beat them in the 2 out of 3, and then we won the finals in the 3 out of 5. And that clinched the overall by 1.5. So yeah, if I'd lost the semi or the final there, Chris would have been the overall winner.
I am intrigued by the differences in this section of disc sports, like the collective of them. Like, I'm intrigued, really intrigued, like strategy of picking opponents and everything. That's really interesting. But I want to be very clear. You are a world champion and how do you express that? Is it the overall? How do they say that? Like, what would you say? World flying disc.
Yeah, probably the WFDF, WFDF, whatever you want to call it, world overall champion.
World overall champion. So
technically also the world discathon champion and the world double disc court champion.
Okay, you brought it up that way, and I was going to ask: do you feel like the overall title is bigger than an individual?
Yes, definitely.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So well, then you've done it. You've reached the top of the WFDF, I guess. That's pretty cool, man. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. And follow that up real quick is if you finish second in every single sub activity, which of course I know you needed to win double disc court to get it, but let's say the scenario played out where if you just finished second in everything, you would have won. Would you rather have that to be the overall champion than, let's say, win the 2 events you did, but then come in second overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think the overall title, it probably just depends on personal preference, to be honest. I think the overall title is probably the more prestigious one. I would say double disc court is the event that I've played the most of and that I am the most passionate about in that discipline. So winning that title is probably just as meaningful to me, but it's also my first world overall title. So
I love it. Yeah, you're a competitor.
Can't turn my nose up at that, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Also, we had on John Kirkland and your dad, and you were able to. He has this title. Is that correct?
He won the World DDC, the WFDF DDC Gold. So basically, what I won this last weekend, the overall, but also the DDC. He and I won the DDC together in, I believe, 2010 or 2011.
Wow. So just this interview could go on forever, because there's the intricacies of like growing up with the history of your dad, and I'm sure you're aware. I've got
a lot of Frisbee lives. If we, as much as you want to talk about, Matt.
We'll do a separate show on some of this. So you said double disc is your favorite, and just in full disclosure here, I actually play and enjoy DDC, but I haven't done it in years. Like, I don't even know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years I haven't done it. But when I had done it, it is super fun. Like Like you're saying it's your favorite, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, we got to fly Cody up here and we got to play the game because like super fun. Like as you explained it, you said like tennis. I feel like, you could say a lot of things, volleyball, but the idea is it's the back and forth with a team. And there's a lot of intricate, cool little rules of like, don't have 2 discs on your side. 2 discs are flying. It's really cool, everybody. So check it out, YouTube it. That's awesome.
It's the most like electric and dynamic disc sport by far. Like
and it's super light. They're like 105 weighted discs, right? Or frisbees.
Like 105, 110. Yeah, right in there.
You have to explain to me more discathon because to me, and the fact that I have kids on top of it, that sounds extremely interesting as well. Explain this. I think I've heard it before, but there's a course set up. Like you got to go around this and under this, and like so. Explain how that is. How long does a course usually last? Like what's the timeline or whatever?
The course is about 1 kilometer, and typically, depending on the difficulty of the course, good times can be 5.5 minutes, could be 6 minutes, could be 6.5 minutes. So
it's speed.
Yeah, if you're
That's
familiar
so
with
cool.
like mandatories and disc golf, it's basically like there's a ton of mandatories. So it's right of this tree, left of that tree, between these 2 trees, over that branch. All of these marked the same way mandatories are marked, right? So we have arrows on the trees indicating where you have to go. And so the disc has to progress through the course as quickly as you can, right? So it has to go right of that tree, left of that tree, right of that tree, through those 2, over this branch, and around that one. And how you do it is kind of up to you. So, if you're feeling creative with your throws, maybe you're going for really fast rollers around corners to save yourself time. You're going for big loopy shots, or maybe you want to run it, right? Maybe you just want to like dink, throw a bunch of short little passes and sprint and just run after it, right? So you can kind of play the sport how you want to, depending on your skill set, which is I think one of the cooler things about it is that there's a diverse like set of options as far as how you want to get through it. But yeah, the disc just has to go through the course. The only other real intricacy is that there are tests in the middle of the course.
Tests?
Basically, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
give it
it's
to
basically like you get to this line, right? So you have to throw from behind this line, and you have to succeed in this test. So maybe it's get over that branch over there, or get around that tree over there. And generally, this is a little more difficult than the regular gates. And if you fail the test, you have to go to a penalty, an extra gate, basically. Like it's going to penalize you in time by having to go extra distance. So again, like you can really just try to like fire through those tests and like keep going and just keep moving. But if you miss them, it can be very penalizing because you have to retrace your steps, go back through there, and then make sure you make the other mandatory as well. So generally a few tests in the course to make it more challenging, but you can either throw or you can run or you can do both. There's a lot of different options for how to succeed in discathon.
I'm over here, and Evan, you're not in studio anymore. I'm over here mouthing to Ben, which by the way, anyways, Evan's there. I'm here now.
I'm here.
And Ben's here. I'm mouthing to Ben. I'm like, this is so cool. Like,
sign us up.
So, yes,
I'm coming for your title.
Yeah. Please. Intern Ben. All right. Actually, we should just pay for Ben to do that. We'll document the whole thing. It'll be excellent.
Awesome.
Work day.
Well, it'd be like I always say for the Olympics or anything else, there needs to be the average Joe like going up to show how hard it actually is. Like I want to see Ben do DDC, like all these things. So, okay. Accuracy. Well, first of all, I'm going to have to follow up and figure out how to set up my own discathon course. Like it sounds amazing. Literally, like I'm excited thinking about how fun that might be.
It's
and these
really
like
fun.
these
really
like
fun.
tests as you put them, I'm like, that's so cool. You hit it first try, you're like, yes, like advantage. Okay. Accuracy. Is that like a bullseye that gets put out there and you throw whatever discs you want or frisbees, or is there like a specific?
You can throw like ultimate discs, like Ultra Stars. You can throw Zephyrs as long as they're under 162 grams, I think.
Okay.
So they have to be kind of light Zephyrs. You can also technically throw like polecats that are under 162 grams. So I think it's that category. I don't know the exact qualifications, but you can't use any, like you can't use like AVRs or anything like that.
Okay.
But they set up, it's hard to describe. There's basically a structure that creates a rectangle you have to hit, like a rectangle up in the air. And that rectangle you have to hit from straight on. You'll have to hit from like 75 degrees angled right to left. You'll have to hit from 75 degrees angled left to right.
Wow.
And you'll have to hit from different distances. So there's like 15 meter, 25 meter, 35 meter distances. And it's just about 4 throws from each station. How many can you hit? So very, very specific, very demanding.
Wow. I'm literally taking a note right now that says, how do I sign up? Like, as in, like, I'm thinking like this would be something in my life experience that I would like to do. These all are exciting to me. I grew up with the Frisbee thanks to my mom. And like, I think everyone understands with Frisbees, and the way I talked with your dad about it, even like Frisbees, when you first were introduced, were so cool. And like everyone would come up with their own games, but this is like a formal way to compete. That's awesome. So that is really cool for accuracy. Self-caught flight, I think is how you say that, or it says SCF here.
Yep.
That's just literally what it is. Is it time aloft, or is it like what is that?
There's two halves. So one half is time aloft, maximum time aloft, where you're throwing it. The timers are starting a stopwatch when you release, and you have to catch with one hand, and they're stopping the stopwatch when you catch. And it's just about how long can you keep it up there, right? So it's just maximum time. The other half is called throw, run, and catch, TRC, and that half is how far can you go. So you have to throw from this circle. You have to catch with one hand, and we measure distance. So how many meters did you travel between throwing and catching?
I know what our next YouTube video is, Ben.
Yes.
We're going into a field. And by the way, I tried this on my family vacation recently. I think we used a Sonic, but it was max weight. So the point is that's even hard to do. But for the listening audience, and I'll let Cody kind of chime in here, it is way harder than you think. I mean, like, you running as fast as you can and you overthrow too easily. You're like, I threw that way too far. Like,
yeah. I will
balance.
Say SCF is has like the most art to it of any of the disc sports, is what I'll say. Like, I'm sure as a disc golfer, you have to pay attention to wind, right? Like, oh, it's coming here.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll lift me a little bit. Maybe it'll push me down. Like, try to keep track of that. Right to left wind, going to carry me. With SCF, you have to. So if you throw directly into the wind, you actually won't get a very good flight because you won't get really any left to right panning. It'll mostly just kind of come up and come right back down. Right. So you have to throw either just left or just right of the wind. And how far just is will vary depending on the strength of the wind. And there's a lot of like artistry and skill in terms of picking the right angle and the right height at which to throw to get maximum flights. Because what you're looking for is not just, disc goes up and then comes back down. You're looking for disc goes up, turns, flattens, lifts, glides, and then ideally it's like coming this way by the time you're catching it.
Okay.
Right. So like if you can really get like the perfect shot that'll just turn just left of the wind, stand up across the wind, ride, that's how you get the most time or the most distance. But it's very fun. It's just an electric sport. It's so much fun.
Everybody wants to know how far can you throw and catch?
My personal best throw, run, catch. Actually, I got it this year in the tournament. I threw 84 meters. 84 meters.
84, and if we're doing the math for the Americans,
250-ish.
250-ish,
yeah. 270 maybe, 260, 270.
Okay. Just again for our next YouTube video, and Evan, you can be a part of this. We're gonna go out into a field. We're gonna stick a marker at 260 or 270. We're gonna see if we can even go 30 feet.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But Cody, I have one more question on that topic. Is you said you kind of go about 80 meters. How far high, like what's the apex of the flight that you're kind of aiming for? Like, I know that's kind of harder to measure, but if you could kind of estimate like how high in the air it's also going.
That is a good question. I'm not sure. I think it also depends on how fast you are, right? In terms of trying to back that down. So I mean, if you're really fast, you can run the 84 meters in like maybe 11 and a half, 12 seconds. That's probably usually the best case scenario, since you're not really coming out of it like you're coming out of a sprinter's block, right? So you have to make sure you give it enough height, but it will vary a lot depending on the wind, right? So if there's less wind, I think generally you can go a little higher to give yourself more time. But when there's more wind, you can go a little lower because the wind can help it stay airborne. But yeah, it's hard to estimate, but really higher than you'll throw any golf shot ever.
Okay, that was my next question. So that that kind of helps paint the picture.
Yeah.
All right.
Basically, think like as high as you could realistically still throw pretty hard. That's about as high as you're throwing.
Okay.
Interesting. So just quickly, I think I saw on the list here, but I don't know if it's accurate or not, because they're only showing I think it's only showing 43 in this list I found. How many competitors were there at this event?
I think total there was like 85 competitors or something like that.
Okay.
Not everyone does everything though. That's kind of like some people will show up just for.
Oh, okay.
There's a large following for freestyle, for example. A lot of specialists in freestyle will show up and compete.
Okay.
Some specialists for golf will, of course, show up and compete. Not necessarily, like the top disc golfers in the world or anything, but
Right.
like, locals to the course, locals to the area might show up for that type of tournament.
Interesting. Like, I feel like, is that like, I don't know. I don't even know the skill level of disc golfer there at this event. Obviously, you have a well-rounded talent to be able to do that. We've seen you this year. But so I don't even know, like, if I went out and played that. This is a question. I mean, do I have to be a part of the WFDF, the WFDF? Like, do I have to be a member to play?
Nope, you do not.
How do I sign up for this?
An entry fee. Yeah, there's an entry fee for the tournament. I mean, the website is where you register. The WFDF overall
This is so
website
cool,
is where you
man.
register. But yeah, you don't have to be any specific member. You can just sign up and play.
Division wise, were you in a division, or is this open because it's overall? Like, it's just open.
So everyone, all the men will compete by default in the open division, and they can also compete for their age-protected title.
Okay.
So that would be, I don't remember if it's 40 plus or 35 plus for masters, then 45 or 50 for grandmasters, 55 or 60 for senior grandmasters. So you can also compete for those age-protected titles, but by default, you are competing for the open title.
Okay, and so like if there was a junior though, he would play in the open title, but there might be a
also,
junior division.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. They could also win that junior division. Yep.
Awesome.
And does this happen in San Diego every year, or is it the year of San Diego hosting?
This is the year of San Diego hosting. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's bring it up to Maple Hill.
Yeah, every couple of years, and I mean, similar to disc golf, it's just about finding organizers and people who are willing to put in the time and effort to make the event happen. But let's see, in 2019, it was in Richmond, in Virginia.
Man.
The last time I competed was 2012. It was in Santa Barbara, so it was nearby, also in California.
Oh, so you haven't played in 10 years in this event?
That's correct. Yeah. No, I last competed in 2012.
And were people like, who's Cody Kirkland, or is it like your dad? They know who Cody Kirkland is. I mean, that's like, what was it like?
I definitely have recognition in those circles.
Okay.
That's what I'll say. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I expected that. I mean, in all seriousness, shout out to your dad. I don't know if he's listening or watching, but I love the history of the sport. Being able to talk to him and have him on the show is just something that I've talked to many people about. I'll say, hey, if you're going to listen to one of our episodes, go check out that one, just because like there's so much in the origination, if you will, of like the Frisbee and everything that's related to it. And if people enjoy disc sports or disc golf, I really believe they'd enjoy the other aspects of it as well. And so that's why I'm so glad you're telling us about it. I have to know with freestyle, I mean nothing by this, but it looks funny, but impressive. Like, it's because there's an art to it that I don't fully understand, but it's impressive. And where do you rank that one for, like, and I'm laughing, but where do you rank that one for like your disc sports? You said DDC was number 1.
Yeah, freestyle is probably one of my worst events.
Okay.
I don't really, I don't practice too much freestyle. I will say, I think the people who are good at freestyle and who compete at it like year after year, probably have like better understandings of spin and angle and like disc dynamics than any other disc sport. It is incredible what they can do. And I will say, like, my skill level is such that when the top players are doing freestyle, I'll be like, whoa, that's cool, but I won't really understand why, or like totally like the aspect of what makes it so amazing. But you can check on YouTube for a bunch of cool freestyle videos. James Wiseman was one of the guys who won the gold for freestyle at this tournament, and he has a bunch of videos on YouTube that you're welcome to check out. That seriously, I think freestyle is so much fun to watch, and you can learn a lot by watching and trying to understand what's happening.
Am I wrong? And again, I'm disc golf like strong, and that's a play on words, but like in my mind, I'm disc golf, and like Juliana Korver, she does freestyle. Is that correct? Like, I've seen it a lot.
I believe she. I don't know if she's still freestyling much, but she did for several years there. Put a lot of time into freestyle and into improving her skills there. Definitely.
Yeah, came out of retirement from like all that frisbee for the frisbee side, and came back to disc golf, and she's doing well.
Doing pretty well, right? Yeah, Juliana is a great person.
And I would say you did well with freestyle too. I mean, you told me a little bit about the point system, and it looks like, if I had to guess, you weren't worse than 10th, like in freestyle out of 40 something. So I mean, you're still doing well.
I did all right. I had a very good partner who's pretty good at freestyle, and
partners.
Yeah, it's Partners Freestyle.
Okay.
And so he gave me a lot of good tips and helped instruct me, and I got a really good compliment afterwards, which is, Cody, it looks like you've been practicing, which is very
Like-
high praise. I'm like, yes, I haven't been. That's how I know I did well.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
I got
Evan.
something, Matt. Yeah. So out of all your kind of just like athletic playing with frisbees, if
Mhm.
kind of hard way to put it,
Sure.
how would you rate the percentage of your time in each one? So like, is disc golf 50% of all disc related athleticness from you?
Disc golf is probably at this point like 15%.
Yeah, I was just throwing out numbers just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
give it, but yeah,
I mean,
explain
okay,
more.
I'll give a real quick rundown.
Sure.
So, I grew up playing frisbee. Obviously, my dad played frisbee, my mom played frisbee. I grew up going to these overall tournaments. By the time I was old enough to play, when I was 8, I played in my first overall, and really focused on a lot of double disc court. So, between the ages of maybe 8 and 19, pretty much mostly double disc court, a little bit of ultimate, a little bit of disc golf. I guess some disc golf in my teenage years, but a lot of double disc court in the overall events. And then when I started college, when I started undergrad, I started playing ultimate pretty competitively. And so from about 2012, when I was 19, to about 2020, I played ultimate pretty much full time, right? So I mean, I was playing college season when I was still in college, club season I was playing semi-pro when that was available, just playing as much high-level ultimate as I possibly could. So ultimate was taking up all of my time, all of my energy, all of my focus for those years. And then in 2020, ultimate kind of died down more with obviously the pandemic, and group sports and team sports and travel was, all of those things were kind of out. And some friends of mine kind of from ultimate invited me like, oh, you want to go play disc golf? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've still got my bag, I've still got my old discs, I'm down to go play. And kind of fell back in love with it. So I've been I guess doing a lot of disc golf for the last couple of years now, with the exception of the last maybe month or so where I was preparing for the overall, but otherwise disc golf for that time.
Wow.
All right, so disc golf's about 15%. Are you back to playing ultimate? Or are you back to playing other sports? Just kind of quick
Yeah.
gauge on
So
those numbers.
I am not playing ultimate competitively this season. That was a conscious choice I made, because I wanted to compete on some of the Pro Tour events and do some focus on disc golf and see what I can do. And realistically, there's not enough time for full time job, right? Full time job, ultimate competitively, disc golf competitively,
Yeah.
married, have a dog.
Yes.
It's a busy life. So I chose to prioritize disc golf this year over ultimate. So not playing ultimate this year, but not sure what I'll do going forward.
Man. But we want to do everything. I'm married with 4
I
boys.
know,
But
right?
the
Yeah.
thing is, like with my 4 boys, and I'm asking these questions because in my head, I'm envisioning the fun. Like we were throwing a Zephyr, and that's rare. It was in the player pack, which was cool. And we were just in the field throwing it back and forth with my 8-year-old and my 12-year-old. And I'm like, it was legitimately a good time. And I'm thinking, as you're describing these, like we could be doing that together at these events. And like, I want to set up a discathon course. I want to teach them double disc. I want to teach them all these things. Like, this is awesome. One more question that I have, just interested in, where is this at? Like, I feel like, and I'm in the disc golf scene, it's becoming massive, and I realize I'm in it. We're talking like there's 230,000 or more now plus 1,000 members, right? And like the events are filling up and massive payouts. Like compared to disc golf, like where is like an overall championship like this lie? Like, is it like much smaller? But
Yeah.
like I can see it's more prestigious, but I mean, is it much smaller?
Yeah, I think it is much smaller just in terms of the audience and the following.
Right. Yeah.
I won't speak too much to the history of it, as obviously I wasn't alive for a lot of it, but I mean,
We'll call
the
your dad
overall
up.
was, yeah, exactly. The overall was very popular in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and probably has not seen the same type of growth that disc golf has in recent years, and even ultimate has, right, in the last 15 years or so.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they were probably occupying, similar levels of cultural importance, and
True.
disc golf has kind of gone off a ramp into space, right? And ultimate kind of as well.
Well, and to be fair, you're right. I mean, I remember your dad saying, like, what event was it? They filled a football stadium, 50,000 plus people to watch in person. That's we haven't even tapped close to that in disc golf. So, I mean, I just think it would be incredible to watch, even ESPN or anything, to watch all of these sports be played out spectacular. I think it's awesome. Are any of the players here, you said, your name obviously is known, but like, are there players that people follow in this sport of like, all these discs, the 7 that you brought up, like, are there people that are known, like well known?
I mean, only probably. I don't think probably outside of the community,
Okay.
right? So probably just within the overall community, or I mean, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
freestylers within the freestyle community have the same notoriety. So I mean, within their disciplines, there's people that are well known, but probably not outside of them.
Sure. Where's your $1 million contract? You're world champion now. We got to get you that. So. He's laughing.
That's a good question. We'll see when the overall commands $1 million contract. That'll be the day.
We have to. I say we, like, now I'm like ambassador for your sport.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
But I'm like, we got to make it happen. So I think it would be really cool. Everyone that's listening in here, I don't know how, but like, how do I don't have the time to organize an event, Cody, and I hate it because I always tell people, like, if you want something, do it. But like, I probably have the time to pull off and play an event like this, but like, I don't have the time to create it. Like, how do we get an event out here in my neck of the woods? Are there people doing it and I just don't know? Like, how do I find that?
There are possibly people doing it. I don't know for sure. Like I said, I took a 10-year break from the overall, so I've been as disconnected as you reasonably can be from the organizational process.
Yeah,
disconnected, exactly. I could put you in contact with the people that are generally running it.
You come out,
and
your dad comes out, and we'll get a handful of other people, and we'll just do like an exhibition and say, "This is how it's not played." Matt, go ahead, and then be like, "Now here's how it's played." Okay. But anyways. No. Yeah, it was fantastic having you on. I feel really educated on all of this, and I'm honored to have you on the show as a world champion. I felt like people needed to know. I felt like this was something to be shouted. Like, it's not just disc golf, everybody. I know that's what we are as a show, but like disc sports, the fact that he won the overall world champion title, and I know it's a joke and this is rhetorical in nature, but like Paul McBeth would not have beaten Cody Kirkland at this. Like, you can't just he's not just good at disc golf, he's doing it all. It's very cool, very awesome. Is there anything we missed that you wanted to shout out or say or inform people of? We'd love to let you do that.
Shout out to the winner of the WFDF women's overall, Diana Elsner. She competed really well all week, had a fantastic tournament, and I believe that's her first overall win as well. Just wanted to shout that out.
Yes, and I'm seeing that in there. She won by 6 points, which is fairly close, it looks like, against Amy Schiller. And so I guess that brings up one last question from me. We're seeing in the disc golf sport, and I've been playing 15 years. It's been a while coming where the women have been really trying to grow that, grow it. And then a lot of collectively the whole sport trying to grow the women's side. And then the pro tour making a very large investment to make sure that there was equity at payouts, especially at the finale. Yeah, especially at the finale. And we just saw Missy Gannon win, you said 8,000, right, Evan?
Yep.
So is just out of curiosity, how is that comparable? I don't mean payouts, but I mean, it's less women, but it's still an investment to try to grow that. Is that what you're seeing? Like, or is it just, I don't know, explain that. What is it like in this side of the sport?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's certainly less female competitors than male competitors for sure. As far as like opportunities to grow that, similar question to how do we see more overalls or how do we get them in your neck of the woods, which is, need people and resources and time and energy put into it, which is not necessarily receiving at the moment. But that would be great. Obviously, the investments by the Pro Tour, the investments by the PDGA, the promotion of women's disc golf has been phenomenal, and that's been like a great change in recent years. Great to see that growth.
I keep saying last question, but it keeps prompting me to think. So, like, you're probably familiar with the disc golf side enough. You know the name Steve Dodge?
I know the name.
Okay.
I'm not sure I know much more.
He was the inventor of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Okay. He was the one who said, we need to do a tour and we need to make it a stage for players to show off. so picture him as, I don't want to say the father, but the father of the tour, if you will. Okay.
Yeah,
And not the
right.
national tour, but what it's become today. He was the origination. Okay. Is there anybody in the overall side of this, like all these disc sports, that's that mover and shaker, the person who is really pushing to make this big? Or is it just kind of being what it is? I'm trying to envision how we make it massive. Like, is there someone really pushing hard, or is it just collectively everyone working together?
I would say the person who I'm seeing putting the most effort these days to try to grow the overall is probably Rob McLeod.
Oh,
Who works
yes.
for
Okay.
WFDF. So he's really pushing to grow the overall and try to have more of them and try to increase the popularity. But otherwise, it's a lot of people who have been putting on tournaments and putting the energy and the time to make those happen over the years. Rick LeBeau put on this tournament down in San Diego. He got the fields, brought all the competitors together. We have people from different countries, people from all over the U.S. It's no small undertaking just to like put one on. So as far as growing it beyond that and trying to improve the popularity, it's obviously a tough task.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just curious because I was just trying to relate it to what we know as the sport we love, how it might be looking over there. Long story short, you never know. I might close up shop on disc golf and like just start practicing all these Frisbee throws.
I mean, disc golf's great, but the overall is everything. It's a bunch of different skills. You gotta be good at everything. It's really,
I love
it's
it.
a great time.
I want to host a turn. I'm serious. Like, I want to host an overall up here. I say me. I again, if I have the time, but like,
You
I
want
want
someone
one
to host an overall. Yeah.
I want it here, like, so we can do it. I would love to see all my disc golf friends try it. We'd all go against each other and give it a go. It'd be fun. So we'll have to make that happen. All right. Well, we've got to that point in the show where we've got a lot lined up. We got Missy coming on soon, and we've got other interesting drama in the sport that's unfolded, but we had to make time. We're so glad that you came on, Cody. It'll be a privilege and an honor one day if you ever make it out. We always say this. If you ever make it out to Maple Hill, that neck of the woods, please hit us up. We would love to get in a round with you there. If you would be, if you want to do a round with us. Otherwise,
sure.
Matt, you talk too much. We're going to get in a round. We'll hit you up later.
Perfect. That sounds great. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the invite. Great to talk about the overall a little bit.
Awesome. Spectacular. All right, man. Have a good evening, and we'll catch up another time when you win your next world title. Or
Perfect,
make a big splash in the disc golf scene again. We'll do it again. So, all right, man.
I'll do my best.
All right. Congratulations again, everybody. The world champion, Cody Kirkland. Have a good evening. All right. Wow. This is me. I get excited easily. Like, do you have any interest in those sports, Evan? Or are you like, no, I'm just good with disc golf?
Man, I played Ultimate when I was younger, and there's too much running for me. I'm going to say that. And the
just do time aloft, no running.
Single catch flight. What was that called?
Time aloft. Time is just throw it up and catch it.
That one sounds tough. I think I might not be the best at that, but the discathon sounds really cool. I almost have to see it in action to like totally believe it.
I'm going to YouTube it tonight for sure.
But double disc court sounds very cool. Everyone talks up Freestyle, and I still haven't seen it, so I just can't speak on that. But he didn't mention guts, did he? Like, that's not in this?
No, he didn't mention guts, which is a disc sport. That's interesting, but it's not one of these. No.
Okay, that's the one I almost want to do the most.
I think that might be too teamy. Like, there was like 4 or 5 on a team. It might be hard to do it in overall.
That's true. Which I was curious about how there was like doubles mixed in.
I don't know how they break the points, but it must just be like you split the points or something.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. It's very cool. But yeah, I when I was here in Discathon, I know you said it too, but I could just tell that's right up your alley.
Yeah, it is. And my kids, I think, would just be like, this is incredibly fun. I'm going to do it in my backyard. You know my backyard?
Yeah, you could easily do. I mean, you're going fast, so I mean,
yeah.
As long as you're not going to trip and run over one of those rock walls or something. But might have to wear like a helmet and elbow pads or something.
I'll do my one wheel and we'll just throw it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So that was pretty cool, man. I was just taking notes as he's talking. I'm like, how do I sign up? And anyways, I wish it was bigger than it was now because I'd definitely sign up if I knew there was one coming up here. So we'll have to look into that. All right. Let's talk about DG Max Wax. I say let's talk about it like it's a formal thing to do, but this product, this is the clean version, everybody. And I say clean. This is the one that sits on my desk. It's a mini, like the shape of a mini. Smells great. The one that's in my bag, this is not a bad thing. but it's picked up like pine needles. It's got character. I'm like, this is my character, like mini grip. DG Max Wax enhances your grip. Evan, you've talked about this a few times. You don't feel like it gives you more confidence, right? How do you describe it?
Well, no, it definitely gives you confidence. I call it's grippy, not sticky. That's kind of my my tagline for it. It gives you the grip you want, but it doesn't feel like annoying. You know, like sticky. I wouldn't want sticky because that would say
Yes.
you might grip lock it. This
I
is
think what I was
grippy,
asking.
You're confident with. You
Okay.
know you're going to release it as normal. Just
I mean,
better
it's
grip.
advertised as confident grip, and I say it makes me have a confident grip. I feel like the way you described it once, and I actually think it was really intriguing and interesting. You said you use it for consistency. Like, hey, like I want to have a consistent, like if I'm not using it, then it's a little inconsistent kind of thing. I don't know. I use it for like the confident, like I need this throw to matter. Like I'll put it on. I feel like I need a little extra grip enhancement. So
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
everybody uses it for different reasons.
Yeah, there's confidence and consistency.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, right.
But so this product is the mini. It actually can work as your mini. As I said, it will gain character as you use it. That's pretty cool. But then you can also use the snap stick, everybody. It comes in a chapstick sized container. It is not chapstick. Don't you? We've talked about that. Hempfield Botanicals chapstick, you have snap stick. It's different. They have a pink case on it and it's pretty. Anyways, that's nice. It fits in your pocket. You can just rub it on the fingers and it's great product. Absolutely good. dgmaxwax.com. I don't usually disclose the fact that like, hey, you guys have purchased a lot of this stuff but I will say this, and without saying any numbers, because that's not fair to the company. You have bought a lot of DG Max Wax. And I want to say from the Nick and Matt show, thank you very much. And if you have yet to purchase this product, please go do it and use code Nick and Matt at dgmaxwax.com. I feel like it's a sales pitch. It's like, you're going to love it. But Evans use it, likes it. I use it, like it. Nick use it. Ben, everybody that I know uses it and likes it. There are a few that say, I'm getting used to it. There are a few. Like, and that's true. I changed from like a 1-finger grip one day to a power grip, and it didn't feel right. Like, it takes time sometimes to love it. But I'll tell you what, I like this pretty quickly, and it's now a staple in my bag. dgmaxwax.com, code Nick and Matt, get a percentage off. Thank you to them. All right, let's do this. We have a little bit of time here before Missy comes on. I think her professional hairdresser is still working on her. We'll see how that works out. But I know she's getting. Not, I'm joking, guys. It's not for our show. She said something about a hair appointment, and I'm like, it's not for our show, but I have to believe it kind of is. So, all right, let's do the quick talk. Ben, I'm opening up the floor for you.
Here.
Nikko suspension. Go ahead. What happened? How do you feel?
Well, I already addressed how I felt on previous episode, but
Where was I? We didn't have a 9-month suspension
Well,
episode.
Not the 9-month
I
one,
talked about
just-
how I did.
No, this has been announced. 9-month
Okay.
suspension. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it?
Was it good? You said something to me in a text. I was
Yeah. So I think maybe. So if you read Paul McBeth's story, I basically agree with him 100%. I think maybe more fair would have been end of the season.
but
9 months is kind of crazy, but I'm also proud they didn't do 2 years,
yes.
which I expected.
That's what you were looking at. You said, I'm glad they didn't throw the book at him. And
yes. So
okay.
I can't be too mad, but I expected them to go crazy.
You were
but
surprised.
I was genuinely surprised that it was only 9 months.
But now you want less, just like Nikko does.
But so
you know
what you're
wait,
saying,
can I just Can I
Yes.
just share a quick story?
Yes.
So my friend, who's also a disc golfer, he just had a baby boy literally Saturday, and the due date was Wednesday, and they named him Nikko. So I said, "Congratulations, but I'm gonna have to give your baby a time violation for not coming out when he was expected to."
Okay.
So little tidbit. Congrats to Luke.
Congrats. So
and baby Nikko.
Congrats, Nikko.
So, all right. So we know how Ben feels, and we know he agrees with Paul. That's another discussion to have shortly. But Evan, we shared our opinions here on suspensions leading up to it. When you saw 9 months suspension, 15 months probation, how did you feel?
When I heard it, I thought it was perfect. I really did. I was like, that's
Burns
the
is
right
anti
amount.
Nikko.
I'm not anti Nikko. I'm pro fair punishment. Maybe I don't know how to phrase that. But when you break it out, it's what is it, like 40% of a season?
Yeah.
It goes into next year, but it overlaps, and so it comes out. I just thought it was fair, but I know we're going to get into it. But then McBeth.
We'll talk about that.
Are we getting into that
We'll get
now?
into that
Or
a
are
little bit.
waiting on
We
that?
will.
Okay.
Stupid idiot in the chat says 9 months is too long. And to be clear,
Now,
stupid idiot, by the way, is the username. I'm being totally polite here.
I was like,
9 months is too long.
Yeah, I'll say after kind of hearing different sides of it, although it still was bad, I think it could have been about 3 to 6 months. But I will say, I think this is a great time to talk about. I think there should be 2 different sets of rules for all PDGA players and then the pros.
Okay.
If I did that on the course, I should get a 2-year suspension. If I ever do that, I should be gone.
no
for
way.
2
You
years.
should.
Okay.
Nico,
Let's talk about that a little bit.
3 months.
Before
3 to 6 months.
Okay. I was going to say, I feel like, and this is in hindsight a little bit, I was trying to estimate what the PDGA would do and then versus what I would want if I was like the one making the decisions. And that's an interesting place for Nikko too. He has the whole disc golf community like trying to figure out what Nikko's punishment should be. That's unique. But I mean, it happens in other sports too. I feel like 6 months or to the end of the season probably would have been better in my mind. That being said, there's something that doesn't seem to be taken into consideration here enough. And I'm not trying to spread rumors, but I'm trying to say what I've captured and caught for information is that a lot more happened post-clip. Again, a little bit of speculation here, but based off of all that I've captured was that it led through the whole final hole 18, not just the clip we saw. It continued on in some capacity, including even to the point of like not talking and leaving, like when he was addressed following the round. So like you put all that together and we don't know what was said, or maybe it was worse. Like we don't know. But the point is the discipline committee took everything into consideration, not just what was on clip. With that being said, Ben, it is hard to say like, is 9 months good or not? I mean, what could Nikko have done that was worse? Like you would assume it would have came out, right? Had he put hands on somebody. Probably. And so I would say it probably didn't happen.
If he put hands, that was my whole argument.
But we don't know, but we would assume that it would have come out, right?
Yeah, Nick said, well, because Kearns brought up Malice at the Palace. Ron Artest punched two fans.
That was all Nick.
He had a less suspension. I'm pretty sure Nick said eventually than Nikko.
Yeah. But here's what I'll say on this, and I'll pass it over to Evan. I just feel like, can we modify and change and evolve to where, other sports are? Absolutely. My whole thing was always disc golf is where it's at right now, where this is crucial. If Malice at the Palace happened at this point in disc golf's history, I don't know if it would be good. It would be bad. Like people would be like, what is this? A joke of a sport?
It'd be like a lifetime ban.
Meaning like at this point in the history, And so I feel like the punishment's higher because at this point in the history, it matters that much more. That's my take. At this point, it matters that much more. I'm not here to say it should have been longer or whatever. My point is like, I was convinced the PDGA needed to make a stance on this, and I feel like they did. And I don't feel like it was overkill. It is what it is.
It wasn't overkill.
Nikko's gonna appeal it. I would, in some way, if he makes a good appeal, I'd hope they'd give him a little less if it's a good appeal. So, Evan, what are your thoughts on it? Like closing out, you think about the disciplinary process.
Yeah, I just think like you were kind of alluding to, there might be more that we don't know about. For something on the pro side of our sport, how do we not know about it? We should know about it.
Ooh, this is a good take.
And like I get the whole process to the PDGA disciplinary committee where you don't know anyone on it. That's like, that's not what I'm getting at. It's more of they're not releasing the facts that they went over. I think the fans deserve to know at least some of it. I mean, you could trim it down.
Can Nikko notify the fans of what was said to him?
Well, that's the thing is if it was really bad and was worth the full 9 months, then Nikko probably doesn't want to say that.
I know. I thought that same thing.
Right? So if it's not bad though, then that's kind of one of the things where, Nikko should come out and say it. But I mean, that gets into so many other can of worms. I think the pro side, and I'm going to call it the amateur side, but it does include pros as well. I mean, your local, pro divisions fall into that where it's like, if if I did this at my local and there was somehow a marshal and on my local tournament and I followed them up and went into the parking lot and was still yelling at them, like, yeah, I should get 2 years. And that might not come out in PDGA's disciplinary report for the whole set of members to see. But being on the pro side and having so many eyes on Nikko, where it is his full-time job, like this is his job. It's not just a hobby that you enjoy competing in. Like, I think we should have the right to know at least the general idea what happened. Like, yes or no, did it continue on after that? Yes or no, were words exchanged? It's not like we have to have the exact, play-by-play for everything that happened. Just a little bit more information on that side.
And I just thought through this with the live coverage. I'm not going to abuse my privileges, but I have access to all camera footage. I think it's recording always. I haven't looked, but that camera, I'm pretty sure would have been following, even if it wasn't on live, like it would have been following. They should have that recording somewhere. I'm saying I haven't looked and I'm not going to look. It's not my role, but I have access to it, I think.
And to at least note on that, you can't use, I mean, we saw with the Paige Pierce possible foot fault controversy, which we don't have to get into necessarily, but they couldn't use cameras for that because it was let's say a disc golf play.
Yeah.
That has to be camera free. But they did specifically say that this is, disciplinary conversations can include any recorded footage. So they used all of DGN's footage. And so I'm assuming if there was more that was shown, Matt, that you said you or definitely other people have access to who would have shared it if needed.
True. And that being said, I mean, it was a PDGA official, like an actual PDGA Europe tour manager that he was arguing with. So it's like the PDGA has the info they need, I believe. So that's interesting. That's where we lie. We don't need to talk more about that suspension talk. McBeth and Brodie, the little bit of drama, memes that were making me be like, that is so savage came up last week. If you're not on social media, you probably missed it. It happened for about a day and a half, 2 days, where it came out that Paul made a take on what we were just talking about and ultimately said like PDGA, and I'm summarizing this, go find it for yourself. PDGA would like you to get your full act together. I'm summarizing again. But ultimately, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, here's what I saw in the clip, and it should have been 3 to 6 months would have made more sense or something like that. And Brodie saw a clip of that. And Brodie apparently has Paul blocked because he says he can't see it. So he had to see a screenshot from somebody. And Brodie posted publicly, Paul, I saw the screenshot. That was a bad take or whatever. Paul responds after a number of other memes come out and says, ultimately, I hope you keep playing for Discraft because you have to throw discs with my name on them. And that was savage. And so the point here is there was this drama playing out publicly between the two of them. And people are trying to figure out where the bad blood, if there is, came from because they were business partners for a while at Foundation Disc Golf.
Yep.
I'm going to give you my take, and I do not know behind the scenes. And Nick's not here to correct me if he knows differently. My take is that they were business partners. It seems to me as if it was a deal of like, come on, Brodie, let's do this together, or Brodie really wanted in. And it wasn't long after that Paul got out. All I'm going to say about that is it not because of Brodie. I'm not suggesting it's because of Brodie, but I'm saying Paul's decision to move on to different things right around the same time that Brodie came in. My belief is that must have just been like a bad feeling. Like, man, I just got in here. And I'm not tying this to Paul like doing it because of Brodie. I'm saying it's just the timing of it. I believe that's probably where some of this came from. I could be totally wrong. I'm just saying like that's where you would have to believe. I don't think there's actually bad blood, like intentionality of doing things to each other. I think it's kind of just been like, man, like you left right when I came. I moved to Virginia. Now this happens. Like I'm moving back to Texas. Like you got to believe there's just a little bit of that raw feeling. And so for what it's worth, Brodie came out a couple days later and said like, all right, high school drama, it's over or whatever. Like I'm on to bigger and better things. So either of you guys have a take on that?
My take is don't get into business with, maybe not with your friends, but also maybe people you know really well, because most times when money's involved, never ends up good. That's my take. If you're getting in business, someone really love them, I guess, and don't just do it just because they have a name or have money and stuff like that.
I think I think it's kind of just a difference of short-term versus long-term goals. I think one of them was thinking short-term, what can be the best right now? And one was, hey, let's think long-term, what's the best long-term for either them or the sport? And it just, when you have that, it's going to clash. I think it was just different opinions, like you were saying, Matt. I don't think the breakup, let's say, in the business partnership was, I don't think it was all that juicy. I mean, maybe it was. I don't really know anything. But the curious part is like, why'd you block Paul afterwards? Like that tells me there's more to it. And there's not really much more besides this one incident, which I'm calling the McClapback, by the way, which I think is hilarious. That was one of the best responses I've ever seen in my life in the disc golf world. Like the NBA is known for like this drama where like KD will clap back fans after something, or someone will do something to someone else. Yeah, no, on his real one too. But like this one, like I don't know. Sometimes you just like this juicy info, and this was one of the ones where you're just like, dang, like that was good. Like, I hope you keep on throwing discs with my name on it. Like, that's great.
He goes because you have to throw discs with my name on it.
Like, okay, Brodie's ditching all of his Zeus's now. Like, I don't know. Like, that's interesting. Like that, there's a lot to that. But I mean, overall, I wish the best for both of them, and hope that something can be amended where, like, you know, they don't have to go back into business with each other or make doubles videos together. But just the fact that, yeah, they're not blocking each other. And yeah, if they're playing on the same card, they'll kind of have some chit chat. Maybe they already do, you know, hey, how are things? You know, just, I hope it's at that level where they can at least have some amicable talks.
I have to believe that had they found themselves on the lead card together, like, which would have been impressive, but had they done that, I don't think you would have seen any issues. You might have seen storylines in the media hyping it up, but I don't think you would have seen professional issues. I don't think it's at that level at all. So real quick, before we bring in our next guest, which I'm excited to do, I was able to dig a little bit into my contacts. I'm not going to say names. This is nothing official. It's more information on like the suspension and how that works. So generally, the way this works, because I was curious, you said like the information should be released, right? And my source, if you will, has said that like there's not actually much information that gets shared with the person. Like, so apparently Nikko doesn't get like, here's all the information that's being used for your disciplinary process. I find that interesting. That maybe Nikko is the person, but Nikko doesn't necessarily know all that they're having for their discipline, is what it sounds like. So not much information is actually transferred. So when I asked the question, can Nikko share what he was informed with? The answer is probably that he doesn't even have that information himself. So he could share, here's from my perspective what happened. And let me also say this. I was also provided this information just now as well. It's generally put that the disciplinary committee asks, statement from we'll call it the accused, Nikko. Like, hey, Nikko, like from your perspective, what happened? And then the disciplinary committee goes to all the witnesses whoever they want, and tries to get more information. They might go back to Nikko and get clarifying. But the point is, it's all this back and forth conversation, and then they make a decision. It's not like, hey, Nikko, here's all of our reasonings why. And I think it'd be really, again, this is unofficial information that I'm just taking in and sharing out loud. It may not be perfectly accurate, but that's generally how I think it's going. And to your point, Evan, we'd like to see it get to a different place, I think, where it's like this information is there. It says, here's what we're basing it off of. Like, here's how come and all that. That'd be great. So.
And I say one more fortunate thing with it is we don't have a lot of disciplinary actions on the pro side. I mean, like our one other example is Bradley Williams.
Yeah.
That's generally a
on
good
the pro
thing.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You look at other sports. I mean, look at what the NFL's going through right now. I don't even have to get into it. Like, it's just not like there's not good stuff happening with the players there, and stuff that goes outside the sport that comes into disciplinary reasons because it looks bad. I'm very thankful that disc golf, I could count the number of like things like that on one hand, or even less than a hand.
Yeah. All right. Well, we talked about a fair amount there. Fantastic interview with Cody. But the disc golf star of the night, the real reason we do the show, we're bringing in the show, everybody, Missy Gannon, winner of the most recent, as in the past weekend, Ledgestone Insurance Open. Congratulations, Missy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much.
I've been joking, everybody, and I hope you don't mind. I said she had to get her hair done for the Nick and Matt show tonight. It's wonderful.
Yes, I cut it pretty short.
Yeah, she
but
cut
was
it. Wow.
wet.
So Ben says wow off camera. Wow.
I love it.
Doesn't every woman want to wow after their haircut? I mean, really?
Yes.
It's wonderful. For our listening audience, you'll have to come out and check it out. It's awesome. She did it just for the Nick and Matt show, right? Or no?
For sure, no.
Was this
Whatever you
scheduled?
wanna-
Was this scheduled, or was this part of the win celebration?
This was scheduled, actually. It's a really cool thing that the Des Moines Challenge tournament is putting together. They have a barber set up right at the course for touring pros to come and get refreshed and get a haircut. Because a lot of the time we're running around, we don't really know, how long we're going to be somewhere, and scheduling a hair appointment in there is usually pretty tough. So yeah, it's something really cool that they're putting on for the Des Moines Challenge.
Wow, cool. That's awesome.
Wow.
All right, to the listening audience, if you feel like she was a little soft, I've adjusted the gain. Just let us know if it's not good. I think we've nailed it now. But I was hearing you fine. Sometimes it just comes through a little differently. So
yeah, I have a soft voice. So.
well, you're soft. What do they say? Speak softly and carry a big stick. How about throw a disc really well? How about that one?
right. Like it.
Okay, so Evan liked that joke too. Hold on, Ben. I'm gonna shift. Hold on, Ben. Hold on. I was gonna shift the gain back down on that one, but we're just managing things behind the scenes here a little bit. And I pay Ben enough to do this, but I'm still the Nazi that I am, and I just take control. Okay. So how do you rank this win, Missy?
Who? I want to say it's number one. I mean, it's tough because obviously my first win was Des Moines Challenge, and so that's always gonna kind of hold a really special place in my heart. But I think the reason why, and I mean, of course, it's so hard. I've won some of like the biggest events that I feel like you could win, other than Worlds and other majors. But the Throw Pink Women's Disc Golf Championship was something that wasn't a major, but it felt like it. It was at Winthrop and had all of that history and prestige, playing alongside the USCDC. So that felt bigger than I think it was tiered as, I guess. And then to go back to back with the Pro Tour Championship, I mean, it would be really hard for me to kind of place any of those wins anywhere in particular. But I think what makes Ledgestone so distinctly different is that, one, the World Championships has been held there. Two, I think both courses have really define what the best disc golfer should be able to do. We have to manage a more open, very, very scoreable course with potentially windy conditions in Sunset Hills. And then we have to survive Northwood Black. Yes, we have a slightly shortened layout than from MPO, but it's still very, very challenging. And so being able to kind of come out of Ledgestone on top, I think really sort of solidifies a player as one of the players that can do it all, in my mind. So that's kind of why this one feels that much more special, because of one, World Championships has been there before, so it almost feels like I conquered that feat in a way, but unfortunately not for a world title. Of course I'm a little bit late, but I don't know.
So you're for the balanced courses then, like you like the Smuggler's Notch, like the Woods, the Open. You like pick the other courses where they do this, because you're saying it tends to show like a much more well balanced disc golf tournament. Yeah.
In my mind, yes, I agree. I think you're going to be called the best in the world, you better be able to know how to play on both styles of courses.
Well, you did that. So congratulations. That we were, I think it was Evan, maybe. I'm throwing him under the bus. I think he says she wins when the money's on the line or something. It was in a text message or something.
Right.
So what, yeah.
Well, and
go ahead, Evan.
well, to go on top of that, like this was your biggest, let's say, tour win of your career, not just, by notoriety of the event, but like margin of victory. You won by 6 strokes. You've had a few by like 3 or 4, but this one's bigger than all of those. Like, talk through like how that kind of went in going down the stretch when the lead started to get sizable. Was there a point where you're like, I definitely locked this up? I can't figure out my words. Was there a point where you're just like, yeah, this is done, or was there kind of all the way up until that last putt?
Yeah, it's interesting because I felt like through the first third of the course, I had already kind of lost a few strokes, I think. Honestly, I don't even know what the scores were. I just knew exactly what all 4 of us were shooting on every hole and what I was losing, what I was gaining. But overall, like par, whatever was happening, I had really no idea. But I definitely felt like after hole 5, on the walk over to hole 6, which is a little bit of a walk, I started to doubt myself. I was like, you know what, today's gonna be that freaking day where I'm the one who falls off the pace. And
That's a horrible mind thought.
really was, and that's not normally like how I think. But thankfully, although I did kind of go to that space, which is not something I ever that I don't want to ever do. I was last on the box for hole 6, which is like, one of the harder holes. It's a par 5, and it kind of gave me a chance to be like, I'm gonna, to tell myself like, you know what, I'm gonna pipe this shot right down the middle. After I see my card mates go left, right, hit trees, I was like, no, I'm gonna be the one to hit this dead center, and I ended up doing that and ended up being the only birdie on the card. And I think that's kind of where I had my turning point. Hole 6, I was like, you know what, this is not over. This course is so hard, and but I feel so comfortable on this course, and I'm just gonna keep pushing, keep playing my game. And so I think I did kind of know that I was going to win it probably by like after I got through hole 14 with a par, which is again one of the harder holes on the course. I mean, you could probably say that about almost every hole, but it's one of those ones that could really bite you if you're off the fairway. When I got off that hole with a par, I was kind of like, you know what, I think even if I parred out, I should be able to take this down. And Tom was keeping an eye on the scores. He did kind of let me know like, hey, Owen and Lisa are kind of starting to make a little bit of a push, but you should still be fine. And so then I just, I instead of just like, I did lay up, I think, a putt on 15. I could have tried to run the circle 2 putt, but I just said, hey, I'm okay with a par on this one. And I think at that point I started to feel pretty loose, and but I didn't want to stop pushing. So that I knew that if at the very least I got one more birdie, I was going to be absolutely 100% walking this in really, really nicely and easily. So when I got both 16 and 17, it pretty much was just like, all right, I could do whatever I want on hole 18. It's not really going to matter. It's all an easy walk in the park from here.
Easy walk in the park from here. So speculation says that, and maybe stats a little bit show that you play better in the second half of the season or the latter half of the season. Is this that start? What do you think about that?
Maybe. It's certain there was something to it last year. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting because we do have Worlds coming up. Minus the fact that I'm trying to defend my title here in Des Moines. Worlds coming up. I did not shoot well at DDO this year. I think it was one of my worst finishes this year. I think I came in like 16th or something. You know, it was very short. It was very short practice. And so now that I kind of know the courses a little better, hopefully that'll be different this time around. But I think that'll be kind of an interesting little point where I can kind of see if I can do better than I did at DDO. You know, obviously I'm trying to win, but at the same time, you know, not necessarily a world's championships that I'm looking forward to. But I'm certainly still going to try to put everything I have into it, and hopefully I can do better than I did at DDO. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think because we're getting into the more, you know, technical golf. You know, we still have to throw in the open air, but you know, the wide open fairways and stuff on some of these courses, but you still have to hit your lines, and so yeah, maybe that's just my style of play, but hopefully I can keep that going.
Sure.
Well, don't forget, in 2020 DDO, you did finish second. So although 16th might have been not what you're going for, second's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So where do you find this is a big question, but where do you find yourself at in your career? You know, like when you started disc golf, like some people don't know you until you were in the pro tour, right? But you know yourself, when I started disc golf, where I'm at now, like how much better do you want to get? And I'm not saying like how hard do you want to work? Because I think you're always going to do that as an athlete, but like, where do you feel like your ceiling's at? Like, are you like, man, I have so much room to get like way better, like way better? Or you feel like you're like, I'm doing good, maybe a little better. Like, where are you at?
Yeah. So there are a lot of times where there are some holes out there that I'm, you know, both myself, but a lot of the time Tom likes to remind me like, hey, you know, if only you could throw 40 feet farther, this hole would be a little bit easier. And so, you know, while I'm no slouch in the distance game, it is certainly something that more and more of these women are excelling at, being able to throw far. And I don't necessarily want to be the player that can do mostly well on the more technical courses.
Yeah.
I would like to be more well-rounded in that respect, because I think unfortunately in a way the courses are getting longer and they're getting bigger, and it's you know, the people that have learned how to throw far should be rewarded for that. And like I said, if you're going to be known to be one of the best in the world, you need to know how to do all of it, and throwing far is one of them. So that's certainly an area that I'd like to focus on, which is really just technique for me. You know, I'm pretty athletic. You know, my build is pretty athletic, and I think it's just a little bit of lack of technique. And so yeah, even when I see myself throw, I can see why I don't throw as far as some of these women.
Okay.
It's really just getting to the field and breaking it all down. It's hard to do, you know, when you are finding success with what you have. It's hard to tell yourself, hey, you need to fix something. But you know, there are definitely times where I'm like, dang, like this hole is just out of reach for me. And if it comes down to it, and say a hole 18 is like the hole that it could all come down to, and I can't even potentially birdie it, but I know my competitors can, you know, that's never a good thing, because a lot of the time it does come down to that hole. So I need to work on my technique for distance.
I would say like even in golf, and I'm not a big golf fan, but I know that like Tiger Woods, all these players, they will rework their swing like what they call totally different swing. To me, it looks a lot the same, but like they'll rework their swing. And I would imagine there is a time and a place where you're probably going to say, hey, if I need this extra advantage, I'm going to have to rework it all. But I'm not suggesting you're there. I was just curious where your mindset was at with that. And I think you gave it to us. Sounds like distance is the kind of the thing, maybe a little bit of technique with that.
For sure.
So Des Moines is coming up, and what's it going to feel like driving or walking onto that property? Will this be the first time you're back since winning?
Yeah, it is. I'm actually at the course right now.
Oh, how did it feel then? Driving on.
I mean, it's raining. It's kind of gloomy, but it got short because of that. So, it wouldn't be really any different anyway. But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, kind of right away we checked out hole 1 is slightly shorter for the women, which I think makes sense. There were no birdies on it, I don't believe, at least not very many last year. But just kind of like checking it out, and when you step into the parking lot, you can kind of see, like, do a little bit of a 360 and see like 3 or 4 holes in the distance. It's a lot of like rolling hills, and you're kind of up above it all at hole 1. So yeah, it was nice. Minus the fact that it was raining, I didn't really have time to really look around too hard. But yeah, it's nice being back.
Cool. Is there anything we missed that you wanted to shout out about Ledgestone? Otherwise, we've done this with you in the past. We've taken it to the game show, Stat or Fiction, and I think you're undefeated. But before we get to that, is there anything that we missed that you're like, hey, this was relevant to this last weekend, or are we good?
No, I think we're good. It's one of the events that I've wanted to win. It's one that I went on tour in the middle of 2018, and a few months into tour is when my first Ledgestone happened, and I believe I made lead card for maybe the 3rd round, and it was my first time on tour, and so it sort of always felt like an event that I could play well at and potentially win. So to finally be able to do it really feels good. And also, I'm newly Team Ledgestone at the beginning of the year. I joined Team Ledgestone, so that was just kind of another nice little cherry on to be able to represent both of my sponsors and Ledgestone and take down one of their flagship events. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, and you're like, Tom, we're eating steaks tonight. Pretty much I nailed it. Okay, Evan, we're going to throw it over to you here. We're going to actually start it up. Ben, kick it off. Stat or Fiction?
Stat or Fiction, presented by Stat Mando.
Okay. Every time Missy's come on, she's beaten us, but we still invite her on. Hey, clear those points out. We're giving her an advantage already.
Yeah, come on, Ben.
All right, Evan, give it to us.
All right. So, Missy, you might have heard it in your interview after you won, but Brian Earhart told you that you were the 7th unique woman to win an Elite Series or Major this season. I don't know if you know that is the most ever in FPO. 7 breaks the record. We've never seen 7 unique women win before. So the Stat or Fiction, which it'll start with Matt anyways, but this broke the previous record of 6, which was first set in 2017. So it was 2017 the first time we saw 6 unique FPO winners for Elite Series and Majors.
I'm just going to come out of the gate and say Fiction, and I'm not going to elaborate right now. I'm going to just make it simple. We're going to go with Ben, and then Missy can go last. Intern Ben, everybody, joining the game show. Go ahead.
Let's go. I'm going to go Stat. Seems statish.
He's going for the points. I'm kidding. All right, Missy, you're up. What do you think? 2017, was that the 6-winner season, the first one?
Gosh, I still feel like it was a Paige domination year.
Right?
She won that year, along with probably almost everything else. So I'm going to say Fiction.
I agree with that. That's why I said Fiction. I'm thinking it's like 19 or 18. I don't know. Give it to us, Evan.
All right. This is a Stat.
Oh, man.
And I did not think of grabbing who the unique women were.
Yeah.
So that's on me.
Okay.
But I will say there was 6 unique winners from 15 events. This year it also happened in 2021. We saw 6 unique winners last year from 16 events. This year we're already up to 14 events.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the end of the season, which is crazy. And now we just hit 7. So 2017 was the first year to set that 6 unique winner mark.
Wow. All right, Missy. Intern Ben coming in hot.
Let's go.
All right, here we go.
All right. So we mentioned earlier that Ricky Wysocki now has a 3 straight streak of winning Ledgestone. Of course, that's with an asterisk with 2021.
Yes.
The stat or fiction is he has finished inside the top 10 every single year he's played Ledgestone.
Ooh.
Every year.
Every
Ben is
single
up.
year.
Ben is up.
Every year?
Every year he's
Like
played
since he was like born?
No,
Like,
since he's played it.
no, I know.
That he's played.
Well, that's
it,
a
yes.
lot. I'm gonna say stat.
All right, Missy, you're up.
Oh!
The pressure. She's like, I just won. I don't need this pressure.
I will say stat as well.
I'm going fiction. It's teetering. In my mind, I feel like there was a tournament where he was way too far back, where I remember I was like, there's no way he's catching Paul, and I thought it was significant amount of strokes. That's the only thing I'm going off of. It's going to be close, if not. So fiction for me.
All right. This is
Stat.
a fiction.
Oh.
So,
Let's go.
I was pulling up real quick, but in 2016, he finished 12th.
Okay, I knew it was close. But I don't
Yeah,
know if that
Paul
was the right.
McBeth ran away with it. He won
Oh.
by 12 strokes over Kayla Viska.
So I kind of called it out. I'm proud of myself there. I said, I feel like Paul was way out. I could remember there was one event that was kind of off. Cool.
Yeah, and Ricky was 23 strokes behind Paul.
Yeah.
Only a few strokes outside the top 10, though.
Okay. Well, anyways, there's a point for me and point for Ben. Missy, we do not want to beat you, but we will.
All right.
This will be, if you three-peat on our show, no more. All right. Here we go. Question number 3. If she gets this right, to be clear, then we have a 3-way tie. And if we get it wrong,
Yes.
All right.
Of course.
She could play the game.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, she's going first, so she just got to get it right.
Oh, we could play the game.
We can play the game.
All right.
Make sure she
Oh, no.
loses.
We're not going to do that. All right, Evan, go ahead.
Okay, so we kind of hit this topic a little bit earlier in this interview, but here it is. This is a lead-in stat. So Missy Gannon averaged a 963 rated golf in the second half of 2021. So that's starting with the Des Moines Challenge through the end of the year. Missy Gannon averaged a 963 rated. That is true. The stat or fiction part is, in 2022, up to this point through Ledgestone, her average round rating is higher than that stretch in 2021.
And I'm making an audible here. The audible is because I know we're going to actually appease some of the audience here. Ben, think up your answer. I'll think up mine. Missy. We aren't going to play that game.
Falco's going to love this.
We're not going to play that game right now. There's too much on the line for Missy.
Right.
And she gets the advantage here. So you're saying the stat is 963 from Des Moines forward last year.
Yep.
But
All-
not
all
counting into the
PDGA
season. But not counting into the
PDGA
season.
events. Nope,
Okay.
just 2021.
So then
all
this
PDGA
season-
events. She is averaging a higher average round
Who's
rating.
hit?
I've
Same
locked
time.
my
through
no.
Ledgestone.
Just man's honor or integrity here. I'm locking in my
Scout's honor.
answer.
Yeah.
I'm locking
A simple
in my
way
answer.
is like
I'll write
based on
mine
round
down.
ratings. Missy Gannon's playing better in 2022 than her hot stretch in 2021.
All right, so I've locked mine in.
Mine's
Missy,
locked in.
okay, we're not gonna change it. Missy, what do you got?
I think stat.
She's like,
Ooh.
all right. Well, I will say, unfortunately, she can't win because I was locked in with stat too.
And unfortunately,
Stat. Oh, he wrote stat.
Wow.
All right, Ben says
that's
stat.
crazy. Green screen
Yeah.
my phone.
Okay, that's Ben says stat. We all said stat. All right, what is the answer? Do you want to change, Missy? No.
You could play the game.
Probably should. just
Yeah.
because.
Play the game.
We're gonna let the guest make an audible here too
Well,
if she wants.
Now you got to think about your total record on stat or fiction. Do you want
True.
your percentage to be good or bad?
Oh, true. Do you want the win or do you want a high percentage on?
No one
answers
cares about
correct?
that. Go for it.
You want to get skunked? Like that's more of a thing in GK skins. We don't do that here. as much
True.
with kind, but
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a stat. Like I'm pretty sure I'm
All right.
doing better.
ooh.
Let's see
I-
what happens, Evan. Give it to us.
All right. I just want to say, imagine if I did fiction just to have this whole thing. Like, congrats on the win, but you're doing worse than last
Yeah, he
year.
picks it out to say
No,
that.
this is a stat.
All right.
Missy, you are playing better. But before I say how much better, we do have a tiebreaker between Matt and
Oh,
Ben.
how much better?
So this is what's that, Missy?
I put a 1 there real quick. I don't want to use 0 right there anymore.
Yeah, give her a point.
Just give her a point.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
answering. I'm
Sorry.
answering,
There we go.
Ben. I mean, Evan, I'm
I was
answering.
caught up in
968 is my answer. What do you think, Ben? I'm just guessing that's what the question was.
You're hilarious.
5
That
points
is the
better.
question. So
5 points better.
What is their average round rating of 2022 so far?
Ben, if
So,
you want to beat
Matt,
me and go under, you have to say 4.
it's just in general the closest.
I'll
No
say
Price is Right rules.
Closest.
I'll say 970 then.
Oh, so I'm 968. Okay, that was a good play. He's getting the over
All right.
if it's over that.
Missy, do you want to have a guess before I?
I haven't even looked at her rating.
This is not player rating to be clear
right,
too.
yep,
It's
yep.
just average round rating of all events.
Gosh, I want to. I don't know.
It could be way higher.
Okay. Well, I was thinking maybe going way higher. I was gonna just play fun and do 2 points higher than Ben did, but yeah, let's try like I don't think it's right, but let's try like 980.
Yeah, I was gonna say 985.
Nice.
What do you think, Evan?
Well, what do I think?
Yeah,
I'll tell
what's
you
it-
the right answer.
yeah.
That is. It is 968. Matt, you had it right on the nose, like instantly. I didn't even say the question, and you're
Missy's
just like, "Yeah,
biggest
it's
fan right
968."
here.
Matt's crunched the numbers
What?
himself.
I had no chance.
No, you didn't. I was
No,
letting
I
you.
just
I was letting you
guessed.
go.
Just guess.
But yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, you're playing 5 rating points better. I think a lot of people point to that second half of 2021, of course, winning Player of the Year as well. And here you are, just doing better than that stretch all year, which is
Right.
a longer stretch than that last year's stretch was.
I thought that was
That's
going to
fun.
be hard for you, Missy. You did a lot of work. You're doing it.
Mhm.
I thought that was going to be hard, and you're doing it. So congratulations. Keep it up.
Felt the same way, you never know why things happen, like is it just luck? Am I right in the right place, right time, or like am I doing everything right? Am I just beating these other fantastic players? And yeah, it was scary coming into this year, like a little bit more pressure than I had ever felt before. So I think that's why winning this Ledgestone event felt even that much more of like a weight off my shoulders in a way, because I not only won the event, but I did it in such a fashion that felt like I actually took it, I didn't just like happen to win. So yeah, this is a good one.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I only say this as someone who talks disc golf. I mean, at some point, anybody who disagrees with your performances, I mean, that's hard to do once you keep doing it. And so you've done it. I think you don't have to worry about what media talk about, but people can debate it now and be like, here's facts. Like, it's not just what I want. So that's awesome. Congratulations again on the win. We're excited to see, always how the FPO division's competing, but specifically it's fun to see a storyline unfold too. So keep it up. We'll keep talking about you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks to your hairdresser tonight for the show prep. It was wonderful.
My pick is Missy to win solely because the hair, it's lighter. She's throwing farther.
Ooh,
Uh-huh.
wow.
For
Okay.
Des Moines.
I have- Ponytail now. It's gonna look funny, but it's okay.
Ben, do you have any Missy Gannon tour discs you want to show? We all, so Ben, the running joke here, Missy, sorry I did this right now, but the running joke is he always goes out and buys
Yours is
whoever's
the-
on our show, he goes and buys it so he can go, look what I have.
Yours is the Undertaker, or
I
right?
think it's the Undertaker.
This year is a Thrasher.
Okay.
I do.
Oh. okay.
Uh-oh, Evan's running. He's running
Oh.
into his closet.
In place of me.
He just moved, everybody.
I
If
gotta
he finds
remember.
this-
I gotta remember the tour series. thing. I
Evan just
forget.
moved,
All right.
so if he finds it that quick, that's impressive too. He just moved.
I did.
Wow.
Oh
But
yes,
There you go, Ben. This is for you.
Thank you. That's mine.
I
Nice.
can't do this.
No, this looks
sorry.
good.
I'm
It's
not as
beautiful.
good as Matt.
Matt
great.
Graham,
There
baby.
it is.
Yeah, Matt
It's got the
Graham,
little
MG.
on the side.
Missy Gannon.
This is Ben's. I'm just borrowing it.
Yep.
Okay.
I think, Missy, you have the best logo out there, MG. Like, that's my initials too. So when I go to like Maple Hill and I see MG, I'm like, it's so wonderful. Like the shirts and everything. I just want to get it all. But I'm like, it just feels weird because like it's my initials and I don't want it to be that way. But like, I'd rather it be like Missy Gannon. But no, I'm kidding. It's fun.
I just met a man at Ledgestone who ran up to me and he was like, "My name is has MG initials too, and like I just love buying all your discs because it has my initials on it."
Exactly.
So
that's how I feel. Awesome. Again, thank you so much for taking the time. We should run a tally for like how we feel in show about how easy it is to line up a guest because you win. Like I text you, you're like, "Yep." After my hair appointment or whatever, I'm like, yes, so good. We just make our lives easy. So we really appreciate it. Great interview. Your smiles. Everyone thinks it's infectious. They love you in the chat. We're going to have you back on again at some point. I'm sure I'll see you next, probably at MVP Open. That's what I'm thinking. That's where I am. And I always say it's an honor and it was a privilege to meet you on the ferry to Nantucket. I'll remember that forever.
Same.
For those who are like, what? I'm talking like pre-tour. I think you hadn't fully gone on tour even.
That was like my first-ish year on tour, or it was like 2019. I was still very, very new.
Yeah, I had no clue who you were.
And didn't realize how expensive it would be to go to Nantucket.
So expensive.
Yeah, I remember just sitting down with Tom and you, and I was just like, oh, cool. I just love meeting new people, and found out like originally Colorado, you're into athletic stuff. Anyways, whatever. We don't need to hash that out. Great to have you on. Looking forward to seeing you when you make it out this neck of the woods, and good luck out there, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. You guys too.
All right, cool. Everybody, Missy Gannon, fantastic interview as always. A lot of fun there. Good stat or fiction, Evan?
Thank you.
We stumped her. We win. We paid you enough.
Yeah, I mean, she still got one. She didn't get stumped or skunked. So,
True.
Credible, but she didn't continue her dominance. But that's okay.
You made the third question too easy. Come on, Kearns.
You know what?
It wasn't. It was fine. It was fine, and I feel like it was the right call for me to have us lock it in.
But who's gonna vote against Missy as she's right there?
True, gamesmanship would have been like,
no, you're playing way worse.
Yeah.
Sorry.
True. Okay. As we get ready to wrap up, because we're just literally about to hit that 2-hour mark, we're gonna do two things. One is just talk. Kona Panis has been pretty transparent about anxiety. She's done that over the years, and I've even talked about how I've related to that over the years. It's something that is, I say, interesting. If you're an anxious person or have anxiety triggers, like. I say it's interesting, but that's not the right word. It's like, man, I hate this. So I think she's dealing with some of that. She came out recently, again, yesterday, I think, or today, and said, hey, like, I'm looking into sports, like therapy, like the mental game, how to play sports, the mental side. She says, I'm feeling like I'm having a big block. And I know people even in the chat were talking about it, like, wow, her putting's way off or this or that. And I want to say, I'm not a professional. But I can remember in my 15 years, there was a tournament, specifically one that I can remember, where I forgot, and I don't know how to explain it, forgot how to putt. Like 100% to where I was confused. Like I would step up to the putt and think, I like just do it. And I'm like, but I don't even remember what it feels like. I don't know, like not like amnesia. Like I like was mentally, it was just like, it wasn't working. Almost like I could have done better lefty. So like, she's experiencing this over rounds and lots of tournaments. She says she feels like there's a block. If this works for her, great. She's being honest about it. I think she's bringing people along for the journey. That's a great thing. Good luck to her. I just wanted to shout out that she's doing that. That's awesome. And then finally, Evan, you brought this up pre-show, Des Moines picks. You have someone that you would like to nominate as your winner for Des Moines this week. What do you think?
I have never felt more confident in my life about a pick. Like this is it. Like I called this like 5 weeks ago. I'm just like,
you did.
Yeah, it's settled. They can't win until this point, and that's because my pick is Gannon Burr. I mean, like he's obviously, we know how good he's playing. He's come oh so close so many times, and we just saw it at Ledgestone. But he's from Iowa. He knows this course. It's written. Like it's already settled. Like that's how the story goes. We can't choose otherwise. So
Man.
Gannon-Burr's winning. So you guys can try to make picks. Like
Well,
you can't go against the story though.
we should do some bet, like where you got to wear some like Yankees uniform or something.
Oh, that's too far.
No, that's too far. I'm not even a Yankees fan, so
That's
I
a
would.
good bet.
I
I'm a
wouldn't even
Yankees
do
fan.
that. Oh, Ben's a Yankees fan, so if I don't know if his player that he picks wins, then maybe. But I think that's a great pick, and I actually would be down to pick Gannon. I don't think I'm in as 100% as you, but this would be the course he would do it on. But in full, like, Matt, don't be wishy-washy. Like, I'm going Paul McBeth. I feel like he's done well here.
He's got the fire.
This is this point in the season. He has 2 in a row where he's played really pretty good, but I think this could be it. But I think Gannon's going to be there, and I think Dickerson, as bad a performance, I say bad, sorry, Chris. He probably feels the same way.
Sorry.
As bad a performance as Ledgestone had, I think he comes out and so that's my top 3. I mean, is Ricky going to be there? Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I would assume. I don't think anyone's really sticking this besides Eagle McMahon.
Okay.
I'm not totally sure though.
That's okay. So those are my top 3. What do you think, Ben? You don't have to pick top 3, but who do you think is going to win?
Who's gonna win? I think Matt Oram. Matty-O gonna take it down. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It's gonna be his first Elite Series win.
Okay. Matty-O is a great pick for a good player at every event. I don't know. This event shapes up differently.
And Kern's pick is Trevor Harble
Why did you pick Trevor out of the list?
because he loves his breakers, his Tour
okay,
Series
okay.
breakers.
Yeah.
I'm going Kristen Tatar for FPO. There, I said it.
That's a great pick.
What do you think, Ben?
Kristen,
I already picked mine. Missy, light hair, don't care.
let's go. You know, is it Kristen's time yet? She's not flying back to Europe because she's sticking around for Worlds, right?
Yeah. She's
I
not
think-
happy, man.
I'm gonna go. We're gonna see another unique woman, win this week, and I'm trying to
Valerie.
think who.
No, Haley,
No,
maybe.
she's already won. Haley's won major.
You mean unique
owned
as in not just to this event. You mean for the season. Okay.
for the season. I'm feeling owned, and I think that's gonna be my lock. But I'm not as sure as I am Gannon-Burr. But I think it's like nice 60% shot that somebody new wins. It could be like
You ready
Alexis
for this
Mandujano.
dark horse?
It could be, who am I missing? Emily Beach has played really
Wild
well.
Horse. You're right. Wild Horse is the Nick and Matt show. If you go way back 2 years ago, that's where it started. And by Jerry Gomez, by the way. I think he said Wild Horse, or we both did. But I'm going like this is Wild Horse. Cat merch. Like this course is in that, I feel, genre of what she could do.
She's from Arkansas, kind of close-ish.
Oh.
Yeah, so is half the tour.
Yeah. We're all kind of close to Iowa.
Kind of close-ish to Iowa.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Well-
that's my dark horse, but I would say Kristen Tatar is my pick. That's my pick.
Yeah, Jessica Weiss. She finished second last year. Could be her.
Dude, how you're right, but this is sad to
Juliana-
say. But I
Juliana
was just having a
Korver?
conversation about Jessica Weiss a couple days ago. I don't remember who it was with, but I was like, man, she just, especially this season, has not showing anything for contention at all. And maybe I don't know anything about it, but that's how it feels.
But okay, one more name, just a name drop. So that way when they do win, we can play it back and be like, okay, Evan was close. But we saw Lisa Fakis play really well this week. It was her first podium finish since Worlds last year. She actually has the most FPO elite or major starts without a win. Similar, not Matty-O is up there. He's, I think, number 2 in starts on the MPO side without a win. But Lisa Fakis hasn't gotten that Elite Series or major win. She's won a lot of big, A tiers and a lot of big regional events. Very good, of course. She was third this past weekend, was looking really good. Maybe.
Who knows?
All right. And I don't think we said this, but it was in my notes here. 2 things. Champions Cup's back at WR Jackson. We don't really need to elaborate much, except I think it's a good thing. I think I'm interested to figure out if they can get more fans there. I think that was one of the main things. But the response from the players was excellent. And I think the fans' perspective from live broadcast was excellent. glad it's there. I would like to see a repeat event there every time. And then finally, it's not really relevant as in like it's out there in discussions, but we already talked about it weeks ago, months ago. The Disc Golf Pro Tour finale is not happening at Hornets Nest. Still no word on it. I tried to feel around a little bit and see if we have any information coming. Some of our listeners feel like they might know from that area. Others might know. But what I'm hearing now is this guy says he has lots of information, but he's not sure he can advertise it tonight. He's like, let's talk tomorrow. So it just sounds like they're probably getting ready to lock in something. My best guess is that it's still going to be in that area because USDGC is so close. So anyways, I'm pretty sure it's going to be close to Charlotte. I don't know. We talked about it at the time. Renaissance. I don't know. The long story short is we don't know, but it'd be interesting to see strategically, why are they waiting? If it's kind of locked in, why aren't they making an announcement? Like what are they waiting for? That's just kind of my thought process. So like, hey, everybody, you want to play the finale? Surprise. It's a different place than you all were practicing for.
It's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But hey, I got one more like 60-second topic if I can jump into it. I hear a lot of people talking about Northwood hole 12 for the MPO, how it should be a par 6. It averages 6.8 or whatever. And to that, I say nonsense. I'm so over it at this point. It's one of those holes where like, yeah, the bottom of the field does very poorly at it.
Yeah.
But when you get to the top of the field, they can do it just fine. Yeah, it's still a hard hole.
So what do you do? Look like at the top 20, top 25, and you say it's a fine hole?
I'm looking at just 1030 rated players or higher.
Okay.
And it averaged, 5.55, which, yeah, that's harder than par. But let's say we push it to a par 6. Now, it's going to, a par or better is going to be like 92% of people. Like no one's going to bogey it. Sure, you'll still have the difference of birdie or par, but it's just like less interesting compared to what that course is, where there's not a lot of birdie opportunities. It'd be like last year it would have been the easiest course for 1030 rated players. This year would have been the third easiest hole. And for how signature that hole is, for being this crazy complex hole, to then be the third easiest hole for these set of players, nah, that's not it. So yeah, it's cool. It's a good, it's a tough hole. Getting par feels good, but I'm putting an end to calling it a par 6. Like I'm not about that.
I know par is a big conversation and it has to do with media. It has to do with fans, it has to do with players at some level. But in the end, shout out to Kent Chapman in the chat, longtime listener, way back at the beginning. He's like, I'm pretty sure like it doesn't really matter what par is. It's the best overall score. And I try to teach my kids that because at a junior level, some of these holes are way unreachable. I say, you got to forget par. Like you play your best shots on every hole. I get it. Again, there's a perspective issue there, but I think you're right, Evan. I would rather see it be a little bit of a struggle there to get that par than it to be like nobody bogeys, you know? So, or I say nobody, that's a high percentage, but to your point. Great topics. We went a little long, but not too long. I think we're right in that sweet zone. We appreciate everybody tuning in live. We haven't done this in a while. I think it's about 2 weeks off, a lot of travel and everything. Love to see those likes punch up a little bit. If you could do that for us, the algorithm thinks we took time off. So they're like, hey, this is less relevant now. So help us out with that. If you're listening in your podcast and you enjoy it, maybe share it with someone that you think would enjoy the interview or some of Evan's takes. I mean, or you hate my takes, so you want someone to laugh at it with you. That's fine. We appreciate all the listeners, and getting to meet people in person is just fantastic when you give us the love that you guys do. We appreciate all of that. I'm trying to think next up for me. Once again, I'm on the road for work this coming Monday. And so I won't be here, but Evan and Nick and Ben will be holding it down. I'm kind of proud of myself. I built in the redundancy for this show that we needed for so long. So like we can kind of keep it going no matter who's out and around.
Yep.
And if you appreciate Ben's input on these shows where Nick or I are out, let him know. I mean,
let me know.
We love it. Let him know.
Let me know. And we're going on a Nick and Matt field trip this weekend. So pretty excited about that.
yeah, we're driving to New York, Capital Disc Open. Our buddy Jeremy Whitaker. By the way, he tried calling me mid-show. Does he not even watch the show? Like,
What?
big fan, Matt. Oh yeah, you're doing a show. I'm just kidding. It's a bit. I'm totally kidding. I hope that put a smile on your face, Jeremy. It's a big week for him. It presumably it could eventually be like a Silver Series event. It's really large. He's doing a really good job with it out in New York. So, yeah, go ahead.
We said it 2 hours ago, but do not forget it is Nick's birthday. Head over to
Blast
his Instagram, wherever. Just so many comments. Just annoy the crap out of him.
We should do a
That's
phrase
what
so he
birthdays are
has
for.
no idea.
Do hashtag
should they
not my
comment?
par 6.
Oh, dude, that's not a bad idea. But we didn't give a phone number, but you could go on Instagram and just be like, we could make them say something like, dude, are you, here you go. Like, are you selling that zone, that green zone?
Yes, on his latest post, please, everyone, comment that.
Bro,
Okay,
are you
I'm
selling
out of
that
the
green
loop on
zone?
this.
And then say happy birthday. Yeah. No, don't say happy birthday.
No, not too
Just say,
quick. Just
say-
like we're looking at that for that green zone.
Are you
We
still
heard you're selling it or whatever. Like just make it about this fancy green zone.
on his
Maybe
latest
like
comment
Brodie's
or
like
post.
get freaky or something.
That's what I
Anyways,
throw.
just-
A green get freaky. That's funny.
I'm straight up so confused, but do it. Yes.
Just do it. We just want him to be confused. is the
Disc golf
point.
Nick Carl.
Like Nick needs
comment
to be
on
like,
his latest picture.
yeah, Nick just needs to be like, why are people asking me about this green zone? That's all.
Like, hey, you sold that green zone, Nick? I'm wondering.
I don't know. It's funny to us.
He'll be confused.
What else did we miss? We were supposed to close this out. I was laughing because someone in the chat, Mark L. Great show. Everyone pick Calvin. It's Matt's out next week.
Every time you're out, he wins.
That's who I should have picked when I leave. It's like we put it in. It's gonna happen. All right. That's the show, everyone. Nick's not here to tell someone you love them, but I'll say it. Tell someone you love them. Ben, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Thanks for joining, everybody. Till next week. Peace out.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.